Lock in. Lock in. Lock in. Big vid. Big vid. Big vid. Big video. Just dropped worldwide national television. Pay attention if you are a member of the Amphorius area. You better be ready to watch this video. You better be ready. Because it's a juicer. And we have been waiting for other opinions on things for a couple weeks now. At least. Oh my god, what do I even use my Trailblaze power on? Oh, I think I was... For some reason I didn't have her maxed, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, how did I not have her maxed? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I think I still got room for some of these. Nice. Alright, we're gonna run through. Quickly do some dailies. Quickly farm some bad relics, probably. Very bad relics. Relics that won't help us. And then Ashikai's big vid.
Memories waiting to be woken up by a shooting star. Remember me with love.
Let me pull it up.
May life and death sprout new buds. Don't blink. May time watch over the Evernight. Cleanse hatred with love. Dispel the gloom. Restore the skies.
Dispel the glue. Restore the timeline.
Night falls.
That's what we need to do. We need to restore the entire timeline.
Don't blink. Rewrite destruction with me. Take the answer.
I wonder if these artifacts are going to be good today. Oh. I need to clean out. I'm full again. I'm full again. Which isn't good. Ow, 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 ow. Yo, I just did the dancing event on Genshin, and I was, like, absolutely destroying people.
Don't blink. Cleanse hatred with love.
Although, I don't know why it was multiplayer. Why was the dancing event multiplayer? Like, bro, let me play DDR by myself, you know what I mean? That's alright. People got destroyed. It was actually a decent event. Little short event. It was kind of decent.
Don't blink. Rewrite destruction with me. Cleanse hatred with love.
Wonder how many references we're gonna get to Honkai Impact 3rd in this video.
This is eternity. Don't blink. Rewrite destruction with me. Take the answer. Have some sunshine. Dispel the gloom. Restore the skies. This is eternity.
Boom, boom, boom. Alright, last one. Last enemy to defeat. Alright. Do we have any? Nope. 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 Unbelievable. 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 Man, one day. One day I'll get some good ones. But today is not that day. But that's alright. Because we use up that Trailblaze power. We use up that Trailblaze power. And we get ready. We get ready to watch the big vid. The big vid itself. Ashikai finally came out with her 3.7 recap. Cyreni's sacrifice for the unknown future. Cyrene writes her story in reverse so Emphorius can have a future one day. Or alternatively, Hoyoverse tries to teach time travel physics through the story of a giant pink lady. Sounds about right. But we've been waiting on this one. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. So I'm going to hear a bunch of things that hopefully may correlate to things I've said. To things I have said before. That's all I want.
Welcome back, Trailblazers!
Welcome
this
back,
is episode 8
Trailblazers.
of our Honkai Star Rail Emphorius Journey recap series. And it's also our final episode because this is the end of the Emphorius story. Cyrene's plans have finally borne fruit, the Demiurge of Emphorius has been reborn, Iron Tomb has been stopped, and although the final fate of Emphorius has yet to be decided, I think it's a pretty solid ending. This patch also finally gave us all the answers to the questions that we've had since the story began, so I think we should get right to it. As per usual, I will be summarizing the events of the previous episode briefly before getting into the meat of this one, so without further ado, let's remind ourselves of what happened previously on Emphorius.
On the 3.7
After trying to reset the
recap.
world in the Vortex of Genesis, the Trailblazer realized that Evernight had disguised the core flame of time as the core flame of world bearing so that she could take control of the reset process, discarding whatever data or memory she felt was necessary. And without any warning, she seized the authority of time, then used the Memoria Tide to trap the Trailblazer deep within Emphorius's memory zone. Meanwhile, Dan Heng's spirit returned to the Astral Express, where he learned that both his and the Trailblazer's bodies were still on board the detached train car that was orbiting Emphorius, and that Evernight had protected their bodies at March 7th's request. Turns out that Evernight was a part of
Wait, on the detached train car orbiting Emphorius? Oh, was that ever actually, like, fully... That's exactly where we are. I mean, I kind of assumed we were orbiting, but...
March 7th that March 7th wanted to forget in order to protect herself from the
Yeah,
Garden of Recollection,
so we never
because
crashed
she,
at all.
much like Cyrene, is one of the children of
So we just got stuck orbiting it like a moon? That makes sense. That makes sense.
Ostrava, a fragment of the shattered Eon Fuli. More on that later. It was her unique constitution
Lots
that caused
more.
her consciousness to slip into Emphorius undetected and unharmed in the first place. But Dan Heng and the Trailblazer didn't have the same power over the remembrance that March 7th did, so they wouldn't have been able to bypass Emphorius's firewall safely. In a desperate attempt to save her friends, March remembered Evernight and gave up her own memories so that Evernight could tap into the power of remembrance and protect them. After assessing the situation on board the Express, Dan Heng decided to return to Emphorius to track down March and the Trailblazer, who were still inside. At the same time, Cyrene and Sunday attempted to break the Trailblazer out of the memory zone. They were unsuccessful, but Cyrene did manage to find a remnant of March 7th hidden within her camera somewhere in the memory zone. Black Swan used this opportunity to sneak into Emphorius in order to get more intel, but she ended up accidentally keeping Evernight distracted instead while Dan Heng and the geniuses tried to find the Trailblazer again. This time with Lygas's assistance, and also Anaxa, since Anaxa had made himself at home in Lygas's circuits. Lygas had a bone to pick with Evernight, so he helped Dan Heng find Kaslana and Phainon, who together shoot a giant laser beam, revealing the entrance to the memory zone. But as Dan Heng got closer to the Memoria Tide, his own memories resurfaced.
Are those space lasers they're talking about nowadays?
Alongside the ghost of his former self, Dan Feng. Through the resurfacing memories, Dan Heng managed to reconcile his past with his present just in time to confront Terravox. After a heartfelt conversation, Dan Heng saw a lot of himself in Terravox, so he promised to carry Terravox's wishes into the new world so that they, alongside every other living being in Emphorius that is not a person, can walk the path of permanence together. So,
that is not a person. Very important clarification there.
Dan Heng, now the Chrysos heir of Earth, entered the memory zone and scoured the depths
Which
of
I learned.
Emphorius' time until he found the
Very
Trailblazer
important.
and freed them from the Memoria Tide. And with the Trailblazer finally free of Everknight's clutches, all they had to do was find Everknight and retrieve March. Everknight was located deep within the tomb of the theoretical 13th Titan, a place called the Demiurge Matrix. This is
Facebook
basically the
headquarters.
operating system of Emphorius, so it kind of exists outside of the simulation, but also kind of inside of it at the same time. Again, more on that later. As the pair made their way to the core of the Matrix, they saw multiple instances of Sirenes from different cycles telling stories to the Matrix, hoping that the Matrix would preserve those memories throughout the cycles. This would be a bit like using a piece of software running on an operating system to write new information to the operating system. But Everknight was waiting for them at the Matrix. And although she felt triumphant and began to give a sort of victory villain speech, Sirene was able to interrupt her and use March's camera to capture Everknight so that she could have a heart-to-heart with March. And that single conversation was all it took for Everknight to relinquish control of their body back to March. And with March back in control, the trio was finally able to use As I've Written and all of the core frames to reset the world one last time. Doing
Four of
so
us there.
caused the memories of
Don't
30
forget
million
Sirene.
Sirenes to converge on the Demiurge Matrix, which
I know she did not do it too. God damn it. Oh, everyone. 33 million.
ultimately resulted in a
I'll stand by this.
Sirene-shaped Demiurge, the ultimate counter to Iron Tomb. And so the world
Here we go.
reset successfully, but there isn't much anyone can do until Iron Tomb's birth occurs thousands of years in the future. So the crew decides to sleep while they wait. March and Dan Heng go first, but Sirene takes the Trailblazer on a little detour before joining them. This little detour takes the two of them back to the Tomb of the Nameless Titan, where Sirene decides to tell the Trailblazer the story of her origins. And I am going to retell this story to you in a condensed format, but do forgive me because this story is a bit of a wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey mess of retrocausality, which can make things super confusing. Partly because we usually think of things in terms of cause and effect, that's regular causality, but retrocausality thinks of things in terms of effect, then cause, and the order matters here. I will give you a quick, oversimplistic example for comparison's sake. Let's say you were holding a mug, and then you dropped the mug, and it shattered.
Fuck, I paused the video at the same time. How did that happen? It didn't shatter, it just got bubbly. Does that matter? I mean, good enough, right? Fuck. Okay, alright, well. Hey, look. I don't know what they put in Dr. Pepper nowadays, but these gotta be the most bubbly motherfucking drinks they make nowadays, alright? And now that it's dropped, I can't open this for 3 weeks. If I open this within 3 weeks, it's gonna explode all over the place.
Cause, you dropped it, led to the effect, it shattering. This is causality. Retrocausality inverts causality. So it first observes the mug's state, which is shattered, and then it branches backwards to determine the probable cause of that state. So
Chicken or the egg?
the effect defines the cause instead of the other way around. The shattered mug is what determined the fact that you were holding it. I hope that
Right.
makes sense because it's time to put this into practice with a little story about Sirene. Long before Lygus found Scepter Delta ME
It's actually, yeah, that was a very well explained, condensed explanation of retrocausality. That was really good. In my opinion, that was good.
13, Noose had tasked it with answering the question, what is the prime mover of life? In order to
Right.
answer this question, the scepter needed to cultivate a life form capable of developing an ego. Now, I think we're going with the Freudian definition of ego here, so think of it as a
Oh,
sort
wait,
of a
there's an
sense
actual
of self,
definition?
and also one's ability to reason, think, and observe the external world.
Old?
This life form
I thought that they were just speaking on. I mean, I didn't really look too far into the ego. Once I realized it was a Honkai Impact 3rd reference, I thought it was just something referencing that really didn't mean anything else past that. But if there is something else more to it,
needed to cultivate a life form capable of developing an ego. Now, I think we're going with the Freudian definition of ego here, so think of it as a sort of sense of self, and also one's ability to reason, think, and observe the external world. This
reason, think, and observe The external world.
Life form was the original demiurge. It was the source of the scepter's original extrapolations before Lygus arrived, and that's partly why it's referred to as the first new spore. Now, a new spore is effectively a soul in Amphorius's term, and a soul is like a seed that contains memories, which over time can grow a body and become a person, just like how real seeds grow into plants over time. So the original demiurge is the first seed that eventually grows into a plant and creates new seeds that kick off the whole life cycle thing. In the case of the scepter, this new spore is its kernel or operating system. So if the demiurge matrix is the operating system, then we can kind of think as the demiurge itself as a developing AI. It's like the conscious part of the operating system. So the demiurge becomes the master program from which all other programs are developed. Now, although Nous abandoned the scepter at one point, it did keep extrapolating and nurturing this little demiurge seed until Lygus found the scepter and decided to use it for his own experiment. But Lygus considered the demiurge a threat to his experiment. Iron Tomb needed to be a mindless, easy-to-control puppet, and the demiurge's capacity to develop consciousness and thought and reason was problematic. It'd be like if Clippy decided to take over your computer. So
Clippy, he did that though. He would not leave you alone. Clippy did take over your computer. He took over every facet of your computer with his annoying goddamn messages. Man, Clippy was a little asshole back in the day.
Detonated a Stellaron within the scepter's kernel in order to wipe out the demiurge program. But the scepter still needed to believe that the demiurge itself existed because the demiurge was Iron Tomb's missing head. So in order to fill the logic gap, the scepter created a tomb for this 13th titan, the demiurge. Lygus was apparently not aware of the tomb's existence, and he also wasn't aware that a small fragment of the demiurge program
still remained.
Survived.
So, and she might get to this, but my understanding, right, is, based off everything she just said too, demiurge, like Cyrene, hold on, how do I say this? The Cyrene is always the demiurge, but the demiurge isn't always Cyrene. The demiurge was still a thing all the way up to Eternal Recurrence cycle, and that's where Cyrene loops back her timeline, and that's where Cyrene is in that loop. But it's more like a roller coaster ride. So like it's well, roller coaster ride is how I'm picturing it in my head, right? Is it's like all of this was the previous cycle. So let's say cycle 1 to, what was it, like 29 million or some shit? This is all demiurge, that little seed. That seed is still here. And then once we get to this part, this is when it loops. Although it dies here. It doesn't go past this, so it's kind of an incomplete roller coaster. But this then is Cyrene. But this is still the seed. The seed is this entire black line, but it only becomes Cyrene at Eternal Recurrence 0. But it's still in existence all the way up until Cyrene's loop.
But the demiurge was so contaminated by the Stellaron's corruption that it fell asleep until the very first cycle of the Eternal Recurrence. This was the moment when Phylia 093 figured out the truth behind Amphorius and, believing she had received powers from the Aeon Fuli who existed outside of Amphorius, instructed Phynon on how to lock Amphorius within the 30 million cycles that followed. At the start of each cycle, Phynon would kill Cyrene, which turned her into something like a ghost, and that ghost would end up in the demiurge matrix where she had access to the demiurge itself. So while the demiurge matrix, which is the system, remember, was busy trying to format and delete Cyrene because she was dead, Cyrene would tell the demiurge seed stories of Amphorius. After a few cycles, the demiurge started to regain some of its consciousness and began processing and archiving those stories as memories. So Cyrene basically took up the task of training the demiurge AI by feeding it as much data as possible. Over time, it began to develop a rudimentary understanding of emotions, a weak mastery mastery over speech and a fondness for Cyrene, who it called Peach. And I'm going to do the same or we're going to get really confused. And because Peach loved fairies and the Demiurge loved Peach, the Demiurge eventually changed its shape to match the fairies from Peach's stories. You know, the ones from the Membrance Maze. And this is the origin of Mem. This Memiurge continued to learn and adopt Peach's traits and behaviors over time, and it even decided to embody them. For example, because Peach couldn't grow up because she was destined to die young, Memiurge reshaped itself into what it imagined an adult Peach would look like. It was trying to fulfill her wishes. Now at this point, the Memiurge decided to enter the extrapolation and witness the world for itself, but in the process, it reverted back to Mem, which is how we first encountered her. And this is kind of where the wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey shenanigans start getting a little complicated, so I want to reframe some relationships here to make it a little bit easier to conceptualize. The original Demiurge is like the seed of a fruit tree. In this case, it's a peach tree. Now, until Phylea 093 came along, the Demiurge seed was laying dormant. Phylea 093 provided vital nutrients and water for the seed in the form of memories, which allowed the seed to grow into a sapling that produced a single flower bud that we call Mem. This Mem bud eventually blossomed into a flower, which is the adult version of Cyrene. But flowers are transient. They're a flower bud that we call Mem. This Mem bud eventually blossomed into a flower, which is the adult version of Cyrene. But flowers are transient. Their job is to produce fruits. So this Cyrene flower was destined to produce a peach, Phylea 093, who then fell off the peach tree and landed on the ground, which should be the extrapolation. After a short time, the peach began to rot and its body fed the Demiurge seed and, well, repeat this process 30 million times, and that's basically how we got here. If you are still a little bit confused, don't worry, we're going to come back to this at the end of the story too. But once Cyrene finishes telling the Trailblazer her bedtime story, they all go to sleep for 1,000 years. Meanwhile, the geniuses in the Astral Express crew enter this new version of Amphorius, and March wakes up and leads them to Dawn Cloud in order to witness the Trailblazer's awakening from within the body of the world-bearing Titan Kefali. Upon awakening, they bestow Amphorius with the power of the Trailblaze, and then they turn into a mimetic version of the Astral Express, which I guess would kind of make them pom-pom. So while all that's going on in Amphorius, Herta and Screwlum ended up hunting for clues in the remains of the Demiurge Matrix. They're looking for the remains of the Demiurge because they are not aware that the Demiurge is actually Cyrene.
Right, now, right. I said that. I remember saying that when we started playing it because I was confused. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? They're asking these questions that we already know. I had to come back to it. They didn't know. They didn't know yet.
Is certain that Lygus is lying about the Demiurge having never existed because there are no traces of it in the Stellaron detonation zone. It's like someone came in and scrubbed the crime scene clean. And they scrubbed it so well that it's very suspicious. So the two geniuses end up tracking down and finding Lygus, who explains what the Demiurge and Phylea 093, aka Peach, actually is, and that it entered the extrapolation because it sought out its other half, specifically Iron Tomb. To use our peach tree analogy from earlier, I'm kind of thinking of Iron Tomb as the trunk of the tree. That makes Cyrene / the Demiurge this sort of like identity of the tree, the part of the tree that makes it produce peaches specifically. I hope that's not making things more confusing, because it makes sense to me, but that—
I'm gonna be honest, that analogies were good up until that point. Yeah. That one would definitely confuse people. I get it, but yeah.
That doesn't usually mean much in the grand scheme of things. That aside, Lygus has a very interesting point to make. He claims that Iron Tomb embodies the power of the destruction, so naturally the Demiurge would also be attracted to the Stellaron inside of the Trailblazer's body, which is also the power of destruction.
Which is why Mem popped out.
The reason why Mem originally appeared before the Trailblazer. Just how Iron Tomb instinctively sought out its head to suit its body, the Demiurge would instinctively seek out a body to suit its head. But Lygus isn't concerned about the Demiurge's reappearance, even though he went—
Oh, the Demiurge would seek out a body to serve its head. I didn't think of it like that. That's a good point. Because I thought it was just attracted to Stellaron. But that could be true. Maybe? Would want to use us as a body? Let me listen to that again.
Its head to suit its body, the demiurge would instinctively seek out a body to suit its head. But Lygus isn't.
Wait, what did that
The
say?
demiurge would
Why does
instinctively seek out a body to suit its head.
So yes, head. Why did she do that shit again?
But Lygus isn't concerned about the demiurge's reappearance, even though he went to such great lengths to get rid of it, because apparently his experiment is so far along that it can't be thwarted by anything at this point. Even if the outcome isn't exactly what Lygus wanted it to be, they still can't stop the experiment. And that's problematic for other reasons, but now that the geniuses know where or at least what the demiurge is, Herta shifts her focus towards Iron Tomb. While the Nameless of the Astral Express are very capable of carrying out the attack against Iron Tomb once they break Kaslana's seal,
Very capable. Yeah, we learned what happened with being very capable, didn't we? Yeah.
they still need a contingency plan in case anything goes wrong.
And thank God.
And Herta's contingency plan is to preempt Iron Tomb.
Herta saved the day. Without Herta, we're dead. Anybody who's got a problem with Herta, I wish Polka would pull up. Honestly, I wish Polka would pull up. Because the whole squad is coming to defend Herta. Everyone in existence is coming to defend Herta. There will be no more Polka.
And attempt self-coronation herself. And in case you forgot, self-coronation is basically the process of attaching Iron Tomb's head to its body. So
Yep.
if the intended head is Noose, then the act of self-coronation would mean that Iron Tomb is trying to put Noose onto itself. If Herta wants to preempt this process, then she's gonna need to connect to Noose directly before Iron Tomb can. She needs to be the body in this scenario. And if you were
Wait, what?
Herta wants to preempt this process, then she's gonna need to connect to Noose directly before Iron Tomb can. She needs to be the body in this scenario. And if you recall the story of Emperor Rupert 1 and 2, this would basically make her Emperor Rupert 3. And should this scenario come to pass, she intends to change the anchor
Okay.
points for Noose's instance so that the cosmos will proceed in a different direction altogether. Because, you know, this whole thing came about because Noose has these instances that are like completely unavoidable. And the current understanding of the characters in the game at this point is that these moments define the universe itself, but what they
Hold on. This is fucking major. I need to back up because I want exactly how she says it here. I get Herta's part. Herta, yes, that's why she integrated with Noose. Okay, we got that. Yes, that makes sense.
proceed in
I just mixed it up with the body head. And I just had to make sure I heard that correctly. Okay. Fourth instant.
basically make her Emperor Rupert 3. And
Oh, wait, hold on.
she
What-
needs to be the body in this
Right.
scenario. And if you recall the story of Emperor Rupert 1 and 2, this would basically make her Emperor Rupert 3.
But less evil.
And should this scenario come to pass, she intends to change the anchor points for Noose's instance so that the cosmos will proceed in a different direction altogether. Because, you know,
Right.
this whole thing came about because Noose has these instances that are like completely unavoidable. And the current understanding of the characters in the game at this point is that these moments define the universe itself, but what they actually are
These moments define the universe itself.
are turning points within the universe's history.
Turning
Noose
points.
uses previous data to calculate future events and
Right.
figure out where these turning points are, but they don't actually anchor them in place. That's Foolie's job, but we'll talk more about that later.
What?
Previous data to calculate future events and figure out where these turning points are, but
But that's what he used to do. This is my understanding, is he used to do that. But when he rose, we don't really know when. It could have been when he rose to Eonhood or like during his term as an during his term as an Eon. Like during the time he's been an Eon, he eventually started to use those past instances to then write things a certain way he wanted them to be written. And that's what it means by determining those anchor points. Is because if everything was truly just calculated, well then he wouldn't decide anything and you wouldn't be switching anchor points. Anchor points just would be points in the timeline. but at some point, Noose decided to take options pretty much and being like, no, we're going to do this because it will result in a better outcome for the universe instead of just letting things be as is. I believe.
They don't actually anchor them in place. That's Fuli's job, but we'll talk more about that
But we'll see what
later.
she says
but
about
Herta
that.
doesn't really realize that yet, so her plan is to try and change Noose's calculations so that the moments themselves also change. And if the moments change, then the path that the universe is taking changes. And Herta thinks that she can manipulate these in such a way that the universe will move in a direction that she wants it to. Now, to make sure she can safely carry out her contingency plan, she calls an emergency meeting of the Genius Society to request that they not interfere with whatever it is that she's doing, because this is now her research topic, and none of them are supposed to interfere with each other's research topic. Fortunately, the only genius who really needed to agree to this, Polka Kakamond, was present, and she does agree. So Herta proceeds with the first part of her original plan and cracks Iron Tomb's seal wide open so that the Astral Express...
She didn't agree. She kind of didn't say anything, if I remember right. She kind of just, I don't remember exactly what she said, but I don't think she agreed completely. But I do know that Lygus said he was going to stop all of them, so that way she could continue because he was curious to see what would happen if she ended up integrating with Noose, right?
Can enter. But Herta only broke through the first layer of the seal. The seal has a secondary layer that was made by Kaslana, and as the Nameless and the Demiurge make their way through the secondary layer of the seal, they meet the Chrysos heirs, who give the Demiurge mementos of their stories, and then freely choose to become lines in the Demiurge's epic as I've written. This will allow them and their stories to be preserved within the story of Amphorius, which will be important for later. Just as a fun side note, this secondary layer of the seal does appear to be the same place where Phainon went on that rampage and ended up scratching Nanook. I don't know that this information is very helpful, but I thought it was cool, so I'm sharing. Anyway, breaking through the secondary layer of the seal involves reconciling Phainon's hopes and despair so that he can regain a sense of self, which the Demiurge then kills because you need to kill the self in order to free the body. Not to get too philosophical, but I kind of see it like this. The ego is the self, and the self both thinks and observes. So Noose in this case is a potential ego or self for the Iron Tomb. Iron Tomb wants to connect with its ego instinctually, but by doing so, it will slowly destroy that ego because it's made of the power of destruction. So when Phainon shackled Iron Tomb with the secondary seal layer, he used his own sense of self or ego. So he's sort of like acting as the temporary head of Iron Tomb, which means Iron Tomb is slowly destroying that ego until there's basically nothing left of it. So after the Demiurge shatters what's left of that sense of self that's holding Iron Tomb down, Iron Tomb wakes up to instinctually seek out a new head or ego. That ego could either be Cyrene or Noose, but Iron Tomb is programmed to look for Noose, so it's gonna look for Noose first. But if it gets to Noose, we're all screwed. So it's gotta get taken down fast.
Well, see, but that's the other thing I said is I was like, yeah, it's gonna look for Noose first because it's programmed like that. But it's like, how did I say in the video? I was like, Cyrene is fighting him at the same time he's fighting for Noose, but Noose is also here gazing to fight. Like, it's a bunch of crossover fights going on right now because it's like if Cyrene wins this. Like, if we were to have won this, would Cyrene have taken over Iron Tomb? In a way? In a different way than what we did currently? Like, I don't know, in some alternate winning universe where somehow Iron Tomb gets super weakened, or I don't even know how it would happen. But, like, realistically, Cyrene could have somehow taken over the body of Iron Tomb? That's what I mean. I feel like there's a world in which that could have happened.
And fortunately, Iron Tomb is at its weakest when it's first woken up, so the time to strike it down is now. And fortunately, the Astral Express crew doesn't have to take on this monumental task alone. They're spearheading the efforts inside of the scepter, but outside of the scepter, Himiko and the others have been hard at work calling in allies and favors wherever possible, and preparing to fight the aftershocks of Iron Tomb's anti-life equation as it radiates out into the galaxy. So the Cienjo Alliance, the Stonehearts of the IPC, and a few assorted groups like Robin's Charity are all waiting outside of the scepter, bracing for combat. What remains of Fainan, or Kaslana, tries to hold Iron Tomb back long enough for the Express crew to strike him down, but he's not able to last for long. Within seconds, the headless giant of Iron Tomb is born, and those outside the scepter immediately begin firing on it. And while they attack from the outside, the Astral Express crew continues their assault from the inside. But the real battle here is the battle between the two halves of the Demiurge, Cyrene and Iron Tomb. Throughout the battle, the two vie for control over the scepter, replacing the track of hatred, which is Iron Tomb's, with love, which is Cyrene.
Okay, so it's more considering. Okay, I see. So it's not as though it would have taken over the head. It's just they're two sides of the same. I don't even know if that. Yeah, I guess that showcases the equilibrium thing, right? So in a way, yeah, if we would have won this, somehow weakened Iron Tomb enough, then she would have technically controlled or like suppressed that part of the scepter far enough to be the main controller, which she did by going back in time, but like through a more, I'm thinking of it through a more, physical way. If she didn't reach the outcome of going back through time, maybe she could have like turned into well, she did turn into Mega Cyrene. Shit. I don't know. I feel like I'm making sense, but...
But then Cyrene loses. Iron Tomb reaches Noose and begins the process of self-coronation, which sends ripples throughout the universe and starts dissolving everything and...
See, I guess that part wasn't clear either. He reaches Noose. Like, I don't know. Was that just me, or was that part not clear in this whole fight?
Throughout the battle, the two vie for control over the scepter, replacing the track of hatred, which is Iron Tomb's, with love, which is Cyrene's. But then Cyrene loses. Iron Tomb reaches Noose and begins the process of self-coronation, which sends ripples throughout the universe and starts dissolving everything and everyone into data that's marked for deletion. But Herta was prepared for this. She manages to complete the...
Okay. I see. Yeah, that does make sense that way. Okay. You've reached a Noose. I didn't see. That's a huge thing that like I didn't even take into consideration when playing this, but that makes complete sense. I don't even know what I thought happened there. I don't even know what I thought happened right there. Obviously, we were losing. Maybe I just thought his equation just started to take over, but I guess that's what it means by reaching Noose.
Self-coronation process first, and suddenly the world grows still. Or perhaps we should say, our perception of time stood still. So Herta takes the opportunity to reach out to the Trailblazer, and then she explains that the universe can end in one of 4 ways: destruction, nihility, harmony, and a redacted 4th way, which we later learn is the remembrance. She then asks the Trailblazer why they trailblaze. We don't really know how this question is answered, only that it is answered, and that answer creates a new variable for Noose's calculations. With the Trailblazer's new variable in hand, Herta enters Path Space to talk to Cyrene alone. Within Path Space, time doesn't flow, but the world outside is...
But see, then what's weird about here...
Answered, only that it is...
Oh, only that it is answered. Okay. So we don't know what the... Yeah, right, because we don't see what we actually say, and then Noose says back to us.
The remembrance.
And I also don't feel like remembrance is still a thing. I still feel like Trailblaze is an option, or there's another option for this.
She then asks the Trailblazer why they trailblaze. We don't really know how this question is answered, only that it is answered, and that answer creates a new variable for Noose's calculations. With the Trailblazer's new variable in hand, Herta enters path space to talk to Cyrene alone. Within path space, time doesn't flow, but the world outside is frozen in the final moments of the battle against Iron Tomb. From here, two outcomes exist simultaneously. One where Iron Tomb completes self-coronation and destroys the universe, and one where it's defeated and the universe survives. This dual state is Noose's infamous fourth instant, an unavoidable moment within the history of the universe.
Okay. I'm going back for a second, because I'm thinking about the whole he reached Noose segment. And I think I had a different thought of self-coronation. And I need to look it up. Yeah, there was another definition somewhere. Self-court. Yeah, this was tried an experiment of self-coronation. He was the only cell nucleus in the universe system formed by the scepters. He crowned himself upon the Iron Throne. To create a knowledge singularity. I believe self-coronation is the use of scepters to enhance your own cognition. Which this is obviously old. But when they were talking about self-coronation, I guess I didn't link that he had reached Noose. I thought it was... I don't even know. I don't even know.
So the Cienjo Alliance, the Stonehearts of the IPC, and a few assorted groups like Robin's Charity are all waiting outside of the scepter, bracing for combat. What remains of Finon, or Kaslana, tries to hold Iron Tomb back long enough for the Express crew to strike him down, but he's not able to last for long. Within seconds, the headless giant of Iron Tomb is born, and those outside the scepter immediately begin firing on it. And while they attack from the outside, the Astral Express crew continues their assault from the inside. But the real battle here is the battle between the two halves of the Demiurge.
Right, and this is
Cyrene and Iron Tomb.
Throughout
the battle, the two vie for control over the scepter, replacing the track of hatred, which is Iron Tomb's, with love, which is Cyrene's.
Okay. Right. See, but it's like, it's weird considering them also two halves, even though that's what they ended up coming down to, because she is still a 13th like Titan, which acts as the head. So she should be the head, but she's like, it's just weird considering it a half. But it is. It makes sense. It makes sense that like they're clashing with each other. But I just thought that it's more her, since she literally should be the head, that it wasn't so much of a half and half, type of ordeal. It was just she's attacking, trying to basically regain control of the body. Like if somehow we were able to decapitate ourselves and literally then attach our heads back onto like a different body or something like that, like we would be trying to fight for control of that body through our brain and in the nervous system and all that shit. When it's like, yeah, I guess you could look at it as halves because of how like powerful our brain is compared to like, the other Titans could be like the limbs and shit like that if you were to consider it like that or something. But it's like, I don't know. That makes sense though, because the equilibrium half and half, the love fighting against the hatred, it's a good analogy. Well, not analogy, that's literally what it is. It's a good description of what we're seeing.
But then Cyrene loses. Iron
Cyrene
Tomb reaches Noose and
Iron Tomb reaches Noose.
begins the process of self-coronation, which sends ripples throughout the universe and starts dissolving everything and everyone into data that's marked for deletion. But Herta was prepared for this. She manages to complete the self-coronation process first, and suddenly, the world.
Yeah, see, so he reaches Noose. Herta was prepared, and she completed self-coronation with Noose before he did. But yet, it took him to explode while he's exploding the shit. Because obviously Herta's like, oh my god, blast wave, nuclear bomb went off. That's when she's like, oh yeah, trigger, let's lock in with Noose.
Grow still. Or perhaps we should say, our perception of time stood still.
And that's where I think I got confused, which is why we're watching this. Because I more so thought that that needed to happen in order for Herta to do what she wanted to do with Noose. I almost thought she infected Iron Tomb. Like the embryo we saw there, I thought she like infected Iron Tomb. So that way when... Wait, or is that what she did? But she didn't really say it like that. Like she infected Iron Tomb, so that way when he goes to self-coronate, basically Herta planted a virus in him. And so that way when he does that thing, Herta's like, nope, run my script first before his script runs. So that way Herta's script runs, integrates with Noose before his script runs and integrates with Noose. And that's why we see her in front of like the embryo of him.
So Herta takes the opportunity to reach out to the Trailblazer.
And so Herta's script ran first. She's with Noose.
And she explains
and that's
that
when
the
she
universe
reaches out.
can end in one of 4 ways: destruction, nihility, harmony, and a redacted 4th way, which we later learn is the remembrance.
And with this 4th path shit, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this for the final part of the universe.
She then...
Because, yes, while it seemed true for Amphorius, remembrance was the 4th path of the final... of finality for the universe kind of right now, right? Because technically, remembrance did play a role. This was kind of the end of the universe, if you look at it, right? And due to remembrance, we were able to kick Cyrene into gear and run that shit back, force that loop, and save the universe, right? But now that the universe is back on track, is the remembrance technically still the 4th path in the finality of the universe now? If the other 3 are still playing a role, now that the universe... Okay, hold on. Wait, roller coaster ride again. Hold on, I got this. Paint. Okay. So, right? This is the universe. Boom, 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 boom. So let's say the 4 paths are right? It is nihility, harmony, destruction, and remembrance. Right? All the way up to right? Oh my god. 4 paths. All the way up to, this is Amphorius. This is where Amphorius happens, right? Okay, remembrance played the role here, right? Yes, technically this was an end of the universe situation. Remembrance played a role. However, it saved the universe now. Guess what? The universe is still going forward now. is remembrance still playing a role over here? Or, since remembrance played a role in the finality of the universe here, this wasn't really it technically wasn't the true finality of the universe, you know? So could this be like a false, not a false prophecy, but like we're calling it too early, you know? We're trying to determine this too early type of deal. So could this be, you know, crossed out now? These three might still continue over here. But so we'll have nihility, harmony, destruction, and something else on part 2. And I say this because it seemed like Amphorius was met with a decision of remembrance and trailblaze. Cyrene could have trailblazed in a way. I mean, they may not have called it that, whatever. And left Amphorius to travel the stars with us. I've said this before. Oh my god, I got a hiccup. But she chose to run it back. You know? And did she really have a decision? Because she already got gazed at. So she really didn't even have a decision, right? That's just kind of what it was. But she was, news presented her with this decision through Herta, in a way. So those were the two options. And you got to think, when we did all our flashbacks through the quest, we had Kafka telling us it was also remembrance. However, then we have Pompon telling us to run forward. We have Himiko telling us to run, because we got, other stories that we have to hear from the other members of the Astral Express. We have everyone else telling us to trailblaze. Do not get stuck in the remembrance with Cyrene, in a way. We don't want to be caught here with her. She's going to do that, but we don't want to be caught here with her. This is how I'm interpreting it. So, in a way, I feel like Trailblaze could still be the fourth path of finality. Yeah, I mean, and I feel like there is a chance that we'll meet. Well, no, there will be a scenario where Fuli is going to appear again. Another child of Anasrava is going to run shit back again. We don't know who it's going to be. However, huge crazy theory is that it's our job as the Trailblaze to blast out of this universal loop that the big boy Fuli has us in. Therefore, making remembrance 100% not the fourth path on the road to finality, but Trailblaze. Because if remembrance is finality, we're never at finality. Remembrance is just going to keep looping us. We will never be able to escape the loop, and therefore we will never reach an end destination. Remembrance cannot be the fourth path of finality. Because it's never final. It's never final. Based on what we've seen so far.
Asks the Trailblazer why they trailblaze. We don't really know how this question is answered, only that it is answered, and that answer creates a new variable for Noose's calculations. With the Trailblazer's new variable in hand, Herta enters path space to talk to Cyrene alone. Within path space, time doesn't flow, but the world outside is frozen in the final moments of...
But that answer let Noose know that some form of the Trailblaze was talking. some form of Akavili was talking. People theorized that were Akavili reborn. Whatever, right? But some form of the Trailblaze was talking. And due to that, Noose was able to calculate, maybe, you know, maybe that's what helped set the new anchor point of, but she was already, see, kind of timeline it down. When exactly was she gazed at? Time has stopped. Hertz is talking to us through Noose. Because I'm saying, like, was she gazed at after our conversation with Noose or before our conversation with Noose? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Our decision led Noose to say Akavili out loud. Whatever. Herta through Noose, or Noose through Herta, whatever. Akavili was said to us. So, Trailblaze running through this bitch. We just ran through this loop in order to push the universe further than where it was going to be stuck at. Otherwise, it would have just kept. What would have happened? What would have happened right there? The universe ends, but like, do we go back to you know, total zero? Because we know Foolie's still got to be a thing. Like, what's the other option? What's the other outcome? Realistically, it's not as though everything just dies. No, and not everything just dies, right? Whatever. I think it's showing that the Trailblaze is extremely powerful in our path towards finality, due to the fact that Noose came back with the Akavili response to our answer, which enabled him to set a new path forward, a new anchor point. Therefore, leading Trailblaze to be one of the defining variables towards the finality, towards moving forward, moving past whatever the Remembrance wants to do. Remembrance is stuck here now in a loop, and we're still going forward.
The battle against Iron
Part of Remembrance is stuck here in a loop.
Tomb. From here, two outcomes exist simultaneously. One where Iron Tomb complete doesn't flow, but the world outside is frozen in the final moments of the battle against Iron Tomb. From here, two outcomes exist simultaneously. One where Iron Tomb completes self-coronation and destroys the universe, and one where it's defeated and the universe survives. This dual state is Noose's infamous fourth instant, an unavoidable moment within the history of the universe. But the outcome of this moment is unstable. It's essentially Schrodinger's cat if the cat were a weapon of cosmic destruction.
You know, God fucking damn it, dude. I said Schrodinger's. I wrote it down, but I also felt like it wasn't at the same time.
When left unobserved within the box, the cat is both alive and dead, but when observed, the cat will default to a single state. The same is true fourth instant, an unavoidable moment within the history of the universe. But the outcome of this moment is unstable. It's essentially
same. The outcome is unstable. Right, so yeah, Noose couldn't give Herta an answer because he didn't know the answer.
Essentially Schrodinger's cat if the cat were a weapon of cosmic destruction. When left unobserved within the box, the cat is both alive and dead, but when observed, the cat will default to a single state. The same is true of Iron Tomb. Without someone to observe Iron Tomb's state, it can be either alive or dead. That is the instability of Noose's moment. Now, technically it's Foolie's job to observe these moments and lock them into a fixed state, but the problem is, Fuli hasn't exactly been born yet. Because they look over the past, they can only ascend to Eonhood at the end of time, so in the present moment, there is no Fuli to serve as that anchor. Now, Herta has already obtained a variable from the Trailblazer that can help them turn the tides of battle and defeat the Emanator of Destruction for good, which means the only thing they still need is the ability to lock its state to defeated. And that's where Cyrene comes in. As a child of an Astrava, or one who has the ability to become Fuli, Cyrene has the ability to act as the observer and prevent any victory over Iron Tomb from coming undone. But there are two ways to make this happen. Option 1, Cyrene could travel to the end of time and become Fuli. Her ascension would anchor the entire universe's state in place, but it would come at the cost of erasing Amphorius entirely since, well, it's not really a place that exists in the real world yet. It exists in a separate causality. Proceeding with this option means that Amphorius never has a chance to be born in the real world. It dies alongside Iron Tomb. And besides that, Kafka once told the Trailblazer how this option would end in a war between the eons that was won by the destruction, with only two people left alive, Cyrene and the Trailblazer. They would exist only in the Eden of Blessed Insight as the beginning and end of time. In other words, Cyrene would be chosen by the Trailblaze to become the fourth kind of finality, remembrance. And Cyrene could never abandon Amphorius, so that idea is just off the table. So Herta presents her with a second option. Cyrene could become the Fuli of Amphorius, so to speak. Using the power of remembrance, she could become the eternal observer of Amphorius' story and close its causal loop. Doing so would also tie the causality of Amphorius and the rest of the cosmos together, thus giving Amphorius the chance to be reborn in the real world from the memory zone. But this plan comes with its own risks, because in the event Cyrene ever stops looking backwards in time, causality will become unstable once again. Iron Tomb will default back into a state where it could be either alive or dead, meaning it would be possible for Iron Tomb to return. And if they did, they would destroy not just Amphorius, but the entire cosmos in the process. But despite the risks, Cyrene's choice is clear. She will become the Fuli of Amphorius, tie the causalities together, and anchor the moment of Iron Tomb's inevitable defeat in the annals of history. Satisfied that a decision has been made, Herta leaves Cyrene alone in path space to await the arrival of the Trailblazer. And when they arrive, Cyrene explains that the universe will be completely destroyed in the next second, but since Fuli has finally cast their gaze upon Amphorius, she is capable of wielding their power to draw everyone into a temporary memory zone. She calls it her eternal page, or a garden, perhaps because every bit of data now qualifies as a seed. You know, kind of like the first noose spores that we talked about earlier. And by combining the power of the remembrance with the power of the Trailblaze, the two of them can replant those seeds of memory and give the cosmos back a future free of
Okay, we know this. I'm completely rewinding the Trailblazer's decision part, and we're rewatching this.
Herta takes the opportunity to reach out to the Trailblazer, and then she explains that the universe can end in one of four ways: destruction, nihility, harmony, and a redacted fourth way, which we later learn is the remembrance. She then asks the Trailblazer why they trailblaze. We don't really know how this question is answered, only that it is answered, and that answer creates a new variable for Noose's calculations. With the Trailblazer's new variable in hand, Herta enters path space to talk to Cyrene alone. Within path space, time doesn't flow, but the world outside is frozen in the final moments of the battle against Iron Tomb. From here, two outcomes exist simultaneously. One where Iron Tomb completes self-coronation and destroys the universe, and one where it's defeated and the universe survives. This dual state is Noose's infamous fourth instant.
Dual state, Iron Tomb is about to die. Right, instant. Single point in time. Single point in time. Iron Tomb is about to die, or he's about to live. Complete self-coronation. This single point in time. And not only is it Cyrene's choice, but it's also partially our choice. Because what does Noose looking at us and finding that answer lead to? Like, what happens if he doesn't get this from us? I don't know the answer to that, but we have a role here to determine the fate of the cosmos. As Herta said to us, we said something that helped Noose reach this conclusion for Herta to bring to Cyrene. Correct? We both played a role here. We just don't really know what we said that influenced Noose.
An unavoidable moment within the history of the universe. But the outcome of...
And this is my point. Instants are a single fucking moment, dude. I don't care what the fucking book says, bro. I don't give a fuck. Instants are a single moment. The repercussions, the consequences can last for a duration of time, sure. But what actually determines the fate, what actually sets the course for the future, is a single dot.
This moment is unstable. It's essentially Schrodinger's cat if the cat were a weapon of cosmic...
Right. Except we're just locked into this moment in time.
destruction. When left unobserved within the box, the cat is
Unobserved within the box, he's dead.
both alive and dead.
But he's also alive.
When observed, the cat will default to a single state.
But when he's looked at, he'll resolve into a single state.
The same is true of Iron Tomb. Without someone to observe Iron Tomb's state, it can be either alive or dead.
And without someone to keep Iron Tomb in check, we don't know what'll happen. Therefore, Cyrene has to loop it back to basically watch over Iron Tomb and make sure that boy does not spawn. Now, I believe there still is a possibility that something, if there's a power out there that could break through this moment in time. Could that happen? I don't know. You could definitely write it in if they wanted to. Will they? Probably not, because that'd be such a waste of time for us.
That is the instability of Noose's moment. Now,
right.
Technically, it's Foolie's job to observe these moments and lock them in.
Technically, it's Foolie's job to look at these moments and lock them into a fixed state. What did I look at that said Noose eventually started making his own decisions? I don't remember. But it's the only thing that makes sense. Because I was also confused. I was like, wait a minute. If Noose is looking back at the universe and he's making predictions based on the past, then how can he decide what to anchor? Why would he anchor? What is an anchor then? Because if the only thing Noose can do is predict the future based on the past, I mean, you're just predicting the future. What are you anchoring? You're not anchoring. That's got to be someone else's job, unless you started making decisions based on the past in order to influence the future, because you think that based on all your calculations, if a set of all right, you have A and B. A, B. Noose. Hold. Noose is looking at A and B. These are calculations. This is A calculations, and B calculations. So this is like option B, option A. So if somebody runs through option A, a set of actions in the past run through option A, and then a set of options run through... Hold on, I gotta think this through. Hold on. He's determining the future based on the present. Gotta remember that. Future based on the present, right? So, the present is a choice. There's a A and B choice. Now, when Noose looks, there's the same calculations. So calculations is actually a single variable. We're just going to write this as past. So the past is the same. But he looks at it as this person is presented two options right now. And he'll look at it as, okay, if they choose option A and we work in the entire past into this calculation, well, this is going to be the outcome if he picks option A based on the past. And this is outcome A. If they choose option B, well, based on the past, obviously you're going to get outcome B, right? So he looks at both of these options, calculates into the past, and is like, which one is better for the universe? Right? And he's like, you know what? Option A? I think option A is going to be better for the universe. So I'm just going to start looking this way. But we have to remember about the branches that grow out of control, right? So option B still exists in like alternate dimensions somehow, with the tree still growing. But this is why Fooly comes into play, because he's able to lock these certain things in to the past. So that way Noose could just count, or like the past is still there based on the future? Present? Past is still on the present too. Fuck, dude, this gets so confusing. I'm writing over myself now. But this is the point of the anchors. It's because he looks at the options, and this is what sets an anchor point. And that's why I say Noose. Oh yeah, we're past that. Look, this is S grade time space mathematics. Effect led to cause, yes. But we're determining if Noose determines his own anchor points, which he does. He looks at the past and influences the future. He's not just calculating the past.
The cat is both alive and dead, but when observed, the cat will default to a single state. The same is true of Iron Tomb. Without someone to observe Iron Tomb's state, it can be either alive or dead. That is the instability of Noose's moment. Now, technically, it's Fooly's job to observe these moments and lock them into a fixed state, but the problem—
See, that's the thing. She says, it's technically Fooly's job to lock these into a fixed state.
The problem is, Fooly hasn't exactly been born yet.
But Fooly hasn't been born. By calculating the past, he is calculating the future. Exactly. But it seems like at one point, Noose not only was just saying what the future is, but when he rose to Eonhood, he actually started to set these anchors into place that is saying, which is why it was said that these moments are going to happen, because he knew that based on the past, people will be led to this decision, and these decisions were going to then influence the entire future. But is he playing a role in, is he trying to influence the anchors himself? And you could partially say yes, I think. Because Fully isn't here to lock these anchors in. So somebody's got to lock the anchors in. And if you're only calculating the past, how are you locking an anchor in to determine the future? You're influencing it.
Because they look over the past, they can only ascend to Eonhood at the end of time, so in the present moment, there is no Fuli to serve as that anchor. Now, Herta has already obtained a variable from the Trailblazer.
There is no Fuli to serve as that anchor, but Fuli looks back in time from the end of the universe to gaze upon Cyrene to grant her the power to be a mini Fuli. Right. Therefore, maybe he is anchoring them. Even though he's not alive yet. But he is alive because he's doing the same exact thing that Cyrene did. She just threw me off with saying this line just threw me through a fucking loophole.
Ascend to Eonhood
Oh,
at
now
the
I'm in
end
a
of
loop.
time, so in the next state. But the problem is, Fuli hasn't exactly been born yet. Because they look over the past, they can only ascend to Eonhood at the end of time, so in the present moment, there is no Fuli to serve as that anchor. Now, Herta has already obtained a variable from the Trailblazer that can help them turn the tides of battle and defeat the Emanator of Destruction for good, which means the only thing they still need is the ability to lock its state to defeated. And that's where Cyrene
Obtain the variable to determine the outcome. But they just need to lock it in, which is Cyrene's decision.
comes in. As a child of an Astrava, or one who has the ability to become Fuli, Cyrene has the ability to act as the observer and prevent any victory over Iron Tomb from coming undone. But there are two ways to make this happen. Option 1, Cyrene could travel to the end of time and become Fuli. Her ascension would anchor the entire universe's state in place, but it would come at the cost of erasing Amphorius entirely since, well, it's not really a place that exists in the real world yet. It exists in a separate causality. Proceeding with this.
Right. Okay, and this makes sense too, because it only would exist if Cyrene decides the loop is there because it's a retrocausal entity. So the effect needs to happen in order for the cause to happen. The ending needs to happen in order for the beginning to happen. If the end doesn't happen, the beginning never happens. Therefore, it completely disappears. That makes sense.
This option means that Amphorius never has a chance to be born in the real world. It dies alongside Iron Tomb.
But see, here's the thing, right? Is how true is that? Do the characters... It was always there. It was always there up until Eternal Recurrence, right? I'm saving this one because I might need it. It was always there. Go back to my roller coaster. This was always here. This is cycle 1 to whatever. And this is ER 0. This line right here. Cyrene only plays a role here. Right? But the scepter is still alive for this entire part without Cyrene. This is the entire demiurge. I mean, this is still here. No matter what. This would always be here, no? The only part that may not exist again if Cyrene doesn't decide to go forward is this. So the characters may not come to life. Well, no, the characters were already alive. That's what's weird, right? Is the characters were technically alive at this point. Because they had to have been alive in order to kick off Eternal Recurrence. Eternal Recurrence is just that same whatever cycle we're on, that same 22 million fucking... So everything up to this... Whoa. Oh, did we finally get a number on this? Wait, did they actually lock us into a number finally? Or no? Wait, 371292. Three, 7, 1. Oh no. Okay, Era Nova. 274. Okay, yes. So the Era Nova. So, you know what? I'm just going to start saying 292 was the last real cycle, right? So, I think that that's the point, is everything up to, what was it? 28, let's just say 371, 292 would still be alive. But that's why it's like, if she doesn't go back and cause this eternal recurrence, basically, because this is where she loops back to. She loops back to ER0. The end of this cycle. And let's say the eternal recurrences doesn't kick off. Well, guess what? Fucking Iron Tomb kicks off his shit in, you know, on, like, I don't know, maybe it takes another 2 cycles. On 294, Iron Tomb is born. You know? And, I mean, universe is GG. But as long as if she goes back and loops it, that's what actually keeps him locked in. As her kicking off Eternal Recurrence. All Eternal Recurrence is just going over and over again. Without Eternal Recurrence, he's born one or two cycles later. And the universe gets cooked. So honestly, the whole thought of she'll be able to run off with us. Oh, I guess it could happen at that point. No, because it's that retrocausality thing. Hey, this wouldn't happen if she decides to go forward. If Cyrene decided to go forward, Eternal Recurrence never happens. And then 2 cycles later, Iron Tomb spawns. So, like, we die shortly after anyways. So there really is only one option. Yeah, wait a minute. There's only one option. Yeah, even if she were to go forward with us, that wouldn't make sense. I think I have this right. She goes back to the eternal... She always loops back to remember... Oh my god. To the beginning of ER0. See, it's not as though she's going back to the beginning of this. She's not doing that. She's not spawning there. Because that, number one, is when it's like a sea. It's when it's like nothing. It's a fucking... It's inorganic. Inorganic life. That is not where she's going. I mean, we can give her maybe a little bit of credit and say she's going to cycle 274 at the earliest. But that's only another 20 cycles before, I mean, either way, we got what, a couple days system time before Iron Tomb spawns and blows shit up? That's why there's only one choice. Because she's only going back to here. She's only going back to ER0. She's only going back to 292. And this is where she starts to grow the seed again. This is where she spawns an Ides Elizii. But if she doesn't do it, she's never born. That never happens. Amphorius wouldn't disappear. I don't think that's right, actually. Amphorius would not disappear. Amphorius would continue and blow up a couple cycles later. And we'd be cooked a couple cycles later. Yeah, I'm standing on that.
And become Fuli. Her ascension would anchor the days Rini comes in. As a child of an Ostrava...
But that's the thing, is like she does have two decisions, right? Okay, sure. Yeah, you continue with us, and you become Fuli at the end of the universe. Well, guess what? The end of the universe is then 2 cycles later. Like, no matter what, she gets kicked back. That's all it is. No matter what, all she's doing is buying a little bit of extra time outside of the loop. But either way, she'd end up kicking back the loop anyways. Because that would be the end. She would have no time to travel with us. She wouldn't even travel with us. We'd get, like, to the next fucking asteroid, and she'd have to loop back. She'd have enough time for dinner.
Or one who has the ability to become Fuli, Cyrene has the ability to act...
What did it end up being? I think we calculated it out to be like... Well, if we had the accurate variables, which I took from her. Well, she said like an hour was like 1,000 years. And I said, so it's like, what, we'd have 5 hours, or 10 hours. We'd have half a day for 2 cycles. Yeah, she'd get a sleep cycle in and have to loop back anyways.
As the observer and prevent any victory over Iron Tomb from coming undone. But there are 2 ways to make this happen. Option 1, Cyrene could travel to the end of time and become Fuli. Her
See, but that's I think that's what we have to tell Noose. And since we had Pom Pom telling us to run, we had Himiko telling us to go, we were basically the other side of Cyrene saying maybe we're not going to loop. Oh, that's probably something what we told Noose, along the lines of what we told Noose, is that we weren't going to be the ones to sit here and loop this bitch back. Maybe? Do we have that? I don't know. That doesn't make sense because we're not a child of an Ostrava. But then they make it seem like, with what Kafka told us, beginning and end, that we could have been the one to sit here with... It almost makes it seem like we could have sat here with Cyrene and looped this over and over again. But we decided not to, which is why he said Akavili, like Trailblaze. Like, we decided to Trailblaze forward. We weren't going to sit here with her and do this. No. We weren't going to sit here. But we got to make sure that she is going to sit here. So are we presented with the same question? Like, are you going to sit here and hold this place in time and watch over Iron Tomb, or are you going to continue forward? One of us, basically, is one of us can continue forward, but we both can't. But we both could sit here, technically, probably, and hang out with the squad over and over again.
Ascension would anchor the entire universe's state in place, but it would come at the cost of erasing Amphorius entirely since, well, it's not really a place that...
Let me put this into concise words. Noose asks us a question. Noose question. We answer. We answer. And then Noose says, Akavili. Which means we said an answer that gave him this response. Which means we're basically saying we're not going to sit in Amphorius. We're not going to be a being that can sit here in Amphorius to watch over Iron Tomb. Whether that means we need Cyrene to do that with us, whether we can somehow do it by ourselves, Kafka's prophecy made it seem like we could be the only ones to do this. Or we could also sit here with Cyrene to do this. But we said no. No matter what it is, we said no because he responded Akavili, which means we're gonna move forward. We're not gonna be the ones to sit here and guard Iron Tomb, right? So that means we need to go and ask, and Herta knows this because we told Noose, who is Herta, so Herta now knows this. Herta now needs to go to Cyrene and say, hey, you know, hate to tell you, we need you to sit back and watch this guy, you know? She needs to watch over him because we're not going to. So one of us, so Trailblaze, Cyrene, this is us. This is MC. So we can either stay in Amphorius or Trailblaze or Express. Go on the Express. Okay? We decide Express. Cyrene can either Amphorius or fake Express. She chooses Amphorius. Now, here's the thing. We can both probably pick Amphorius. And the world would continue on fine. Universe Plus. However, we both can't pick. We both can't pick Express because Universe dies. But we could be either or. I don't know if we could have done Amphorius and Cyrene could have done Explore, though. I don't know if Yellow's possible. Because we're not a child of Anasrava. But would Fuli have gazed at us and made us a child of Anasrava like he gazed at Cyrene? If we had given Noose the answer of, I don't know, maybe something else, to not make him say Akaveli. If we had said something like, I want my friends, could we have then been the one gazed at by Fuli to lock this place into the cycle? I don't know. I don't know if that was possible. And we'll never know. Because that's not what happened. Okay. I think that makes sense. I think I made that clear.
Exists in the real world yet. It exists in a separate causality. Proceeding with this option means that Amphorius never has a chance to be born in the real world. It dies alongside Iron.
However, like I said, go back to the other part. That's not true.
yet. It exists in a separate causality. Proceeding with this option means that Amphorius never has a chance to be born in the real world. It dies alongside Iron Tomb. And besides that, Kafka once told the Trailblazer how this option would end in a war between the eons that was won by the destruction, with only 2 people left alive.
Because
it exists in a separate causality. Proceeding with this option means that Amphorius never has a chance to be born in the real world. It dies alongside Iron Tomb. And besides that, Kafka once told the Trailblazer how this option would end in a war between the eons that was won by the
Iron Tomb is still being spawned by the Scepter. We just did Eternal Recurrence to pause the Scepter.
Destruction, with only 2 people left alive, Cyrene and the Trailblazer.
And Destruction would have won because Iron Tomb would have won 2 cycles later. We just wouldn't have kicked off Eternal Recurrence, like I said. Iron Tomb still would have formed 2 cycles later, caused a war between the eons, and won the war.
They would exist only in the Eden of Blessed Insight as the beginning and end of time.
And this makes sense, because then, that 2 cycles later, would have kicked off the real end of the universe, and guess what? Oh my god, wait a minute, that makes so much more fucking sense. That would have been the real end of the universe. And if we can assume that Fuli is actually... If we can assume... If we can assume that Fuli is actually looping back the entire universe, right? This is where we're at. This is the Amphorius loop. This is where the universe is going to continue to go. This is blue equals Fuli. Right? So if Cyrene never loops us back to kick off ER, right? Iron Tomb then would continue on. He'd spawn 2 cycles later. Oh wait, well. Okay, let's just shit. Let's move this. Hold on. Let's move this actually. So it would look more like this. Boom. This is the Amphorius loop. Boom. Okay. But we say that, again, blue is Fuli. Real Fuli. If we assume that Cyrene doesn't pick this, right? Based on what she just said here.
With only 2 people left alive, Cyrene
2 people left
and
alive.
The Trailblazer.
Cyrene and the Trailblazer would be because the real end of the universe would actually happen because Cyrene didn't kick this off. 2 cycles later, Iron Tomb actually spawns. And that's the real end of the universe. And then guess what? Then Cyrene does become the real Fuli. She doesn't just become the Fuli of Amphorius. No. She becomes the universe's Fuli. She becomes the big Fuli. And this. She becomes the big Fuli. And loops back the entire universe. And then somehow we're with her. I don't really know how that works. And I don't know how we're kind of with her in this. But we are. Okay, whatever. Maybe because she's attached to us via Stellaron. Maybe because she got attached to us in that way. In the Stellaron. So we're kind of like attached to her side. Remember, Herta at one point did say she doesn't exist if we lose all memory of her. So we kind of still play a role with her existing in some way. I'm assuming so. I'm assuming that Herta line still has something to do, right? So she becomes the big Fuli, and that's why, oh, we're the only 2 in existence now. Maybe we're the only 2 that are aware of this loop back then at that point. Because the universe actually, this is the real end of the universe if she continues on. But since she looped it back, universe actually is continuing on. That actually makes way more sense.
Would exist only in the Eden of Blessed Insight as the beginning and end of time. In other words, Cyrene would be chosen by the Trailblaze to become the fourth kind of finality, remembrance. And Cyrene could never abandon Amphoria, so that idea is just off the table. So Herta presents her with a second option. Cyrene could become the Fuli of Amphorius, so to speak. Using the power of remembrance, she could become the eternal observer of Amphorius' story and close its causal loop. Doing so would also tie the causality of Amphorius and the rest of the cosmos together, thus giving Amphorius the chance to be reborn in the real world from the memory zone. But this plan comes with its own risks, because in the event Cyrene ever stops looking backwards in time,
it's literally the only option. There is no other option. It's a false sense of an option.
causality will become unstable once again. Iron Tomb will default back into a state where it could be either alive or dead, meaning it would be possible for Iron Tomb to return. And if they did, they would destroy not just Amphorius, but the entire cosmos in the process. But despite the risks, Cyrene's choice is clear.
Wait, what? How is that the other choice?
Thus tie the causality of Amphorius and the rest of the cosmos together, thus giving Amphorius the chance to be reborn in the real world from the memory zone. But this plan comes with its own risks, because in the event Cyrene ever stops looking backwards in time, causality will become unstable once again.
Hold on, am I missing something she's saying?
By the Trailblaze to become the fourth kind of finality, remembrance. And Cyrene could never abandon Amphoria, so that idea is just off the table. So Herta presents her with a second option. Cyrene could become the Fuli of Amphorius, so to speak. Using the power of remembrance, she could become the eternal observer of Amphorius' story and close its causal loop. Doing so would also tie the causality of Amphorius and the rest of the cosmos together, thus giving Amphorius the chance to be reborn in the real world from the memory zone.
Yeah.
But this plan comes with its own risks, because in the event Cyrene ever stops looking backwards in time, causality will become unstable once again. Iron Tomb will default back into a state where it could be either alive or dead.
But that's the other option. What? Am I tweaking here? No, that's the other option.
Meaning it would be possible for Iron Tomb to return. And if they did, they would destroy not just Amphorius, but the entire cosmos in the process. But despite the risks, Cyrene's choice is clear. She will become the Fuli of Amphorius, tie the causalities together, and anchor the moment of Iron Tomb's inevitable defeat in the annals of history. Satisfied.
Oh, is she saying it's a risk because like every time she gets to the end of the loop, she has to make the same decision, and if she doesn't make that same decision, it'll cause him to get out? But that's, I mean, literally, it's so weird because it's like, that's exactly what she did in the Eternal Recurrence, and Finon said the same exact thing. He literally said, before they headed into Eternal Recurrence, he was like, are you sure you're going to make the same decision every time? She was like, yeah, trust me. So it's literally, is that what she's saying? It's kind of the same thing here. She's got to trust herself to make the same decision every time? Or go through the exact same steps every single time?
That a decision has been made, Herta leaves Cyrene alone in path space to await the arrival of the Trailblazer. And when they arrive, Cyrene explains that the universe will be completely destroyed in the next second. But since Fuli has finally cast their gaze upon Amphorius, she is capable of wielding their power to draw everyone into a temporary memory zone. She calls it her eternal page, or a garden, perhaps because every bit of data now qualifies as a seed. You know, kind of like the first noose spores that we talked about earlier. And by combining the power of the remembrance with the power of the Trailblaze, the two of them can replant those seeds of memory and give the cosmos back a future free of Iron Tomb. So they use the power of the Trailblaze to break through both space and time in order to confront Iron Tomb one last time. And this time, they succeed. Cyrene is able to gain the upper hand and rewrite the meaning of Iron Tomb's birth. It is no longer set to the track of hatred, but to the track of love. And because she and Iron Tomb are both two halves of the scepter, when Iron Tomb exploded, Cyrene did too. And this allowed her to spread all of the memories that she had collected within her eternal page throughout the entire cosmos, allowing all life to re-manifest to the moment before the destruction started dissolving them. And as the people returned, they were met by a single greeting, a final message from Cyrene. And it read, "Hello, world." In her final moments, Cyrene managed to use the last of her power to condense all of the memories of Amphorius into a book. casting her glance backwards through the time captured within its pages and filling in all of the gaps with stories of her own. She created the place where the story began, Ida Silesii, and she placed a child with pink hair and sharp ears there. This child, known as both Cyrene and Phylea 093, was raised alongside the fairies she loved so much, and she eventually became the Chrysos heir of time, who received prophecies from her future self, the Cyrene at the end of time. Because yes, they are the same person. They are both the ego that was birthed by the scepter. Heck, the numbers at the end of Phylea 093 can even be rotated 180 degrees to spell the word ego. And this girl, this young Cyrene, will eventually die at the beginning of each cycle, bringing stories of the previous cycles to the Demiurge's seed of memory. Her love of fairies gives the seed a new shape, one we call Mem. And after 30 million cycles, Mem turns into a grown woman, one who misses the girl who used to tell her stories. So she decides to go looking for her, and enters the story herself, forfeiting her memories for a time and becoming the little fairy called Mem once again. And that little fairy was drawn to the Stellaron within the Trailblazer not because the Stellaron within them stemmed from the power of destruction, just like Iron Tomb, but because the Cyrene at the end of time recognized them as the hero of this story. And so the Cyrene at the end of time cast her gaze upon them as Fuli.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Because especially, she definitely had some fragments of memory in there, which is, I mean, there's also a reason why she was so confident that Eternal Recurrence would kick off. You know what I mean? It seemed like she lost all her memories, but realistically, she had a couple in there. Probably why she had the idea of starting Eternal Recurrence anyways, you know? She like knew that was her destiny. She knew these certain things that had to happen.
Then joins the Trailblazer in the form of a fairy, who eventually becomes the girl who becomes the lady who waits at the end of time for a future she may never see because she can only look back into the past. And within this closed causal loop of Amphorius, she is the seed at the beginning that grows into a flower that bears fruit at the end. And that fruit, a single peach, carries a single seed that returns to the beginning in a cycle that never ends. Or at least, not until Amphorius is born in the real world. Now, Cyrene was also responsible for sending out the Memoria ripples that caught Black Swan's attention in the first place. And she also sent the hero within to Phynon as a sort of prophecy, intending for it to be a sort of blank space that the Trailblazer would come to occupy later. And that created an opportunity for the path of the Trailblaze to eventually replace the path of destruction. More on that in a bit. These are just some of the blank spaces she fills in. But when she finishes, she condenses the memories of Amphorius into the book as I've written so it can become the seed from which a new Amphorius will one day sprout. And then she adds a single eternal page at the end, a placeholder for Amphorius's future. She then pulls the Trailblazer into the memory of the Astral Express within the memory zone and entrusts the book and the future of Amphorius to them before vanishing amongst the stars and completing the process of anchoring Amphorius's causality. Now, it is very important that Amphorius is a book because, like Cyrene says, a book can be read, interpreted, and remembered by anyone. And that works in everyone's favor. See, after you finish the main quest, you can actually access the Eternal page directly. You can find all of the Chrysos heirs we've met along the journey there, and there's even a message left behind by Cyrene. But after exploring the contents of this page, the Trailblazer has an idea. What if they could make copies of Amphorius and spread them throughout the cosmos so that anyone could read them? Then its story would be remembered by more than just a select
Amazon
few,
bestseller,
which should,
New York
in
bestsellers
theory,
list.
At least,
I did
further
this.
stabilize Amphorius's causality. It seems like a pretty good idea, so the Trailblazer asks the IPC to help print and distribute the copies of As I've Written, and then they go on a little bit of a book tour to the planets and space stations they've journeyed to in the past. But while they're doing their little book tour, they meet up with Herta, who once again has a couple of very interesting things to say. Apparently, when Iron Tomb fell, the scepter was also ruined, but she and Screwlum managed to recover the majority of its extrapolation data before it was completely lost. She theorizes that this data could be used to assist with the rebirth of Amphorius, especially the last extrapolation record, since that's the cycle where the path of the Trailblaze replaced the path of destruction. Which is interesting because after analyzing all of the data, Herta and Screwlum agree that the scepter's answer to the question, what is the prime mover of life, is correct. The prime mover of life is destruction, but there is meaning in replacing destruction with Trailblaze, which, as you may recall, is exactly what happened to Iron Tomb. Cyrene overwrote destruction's path of hatred with Trailblaze Trailblaze's path of love. Now, you can read Cyrene's interpretation of this relationship in the Exomyth in a letter that she wrote to the Flawed One, aka Iron Tomb. I'm not gonna try and explain it here because I don't actually think I understand her logic the way the writers intended, so I think it's best you read and interpret it for yourself. In my personal view, I like viewing this relationship between the Destruction and the Trailblaze through a garden metaphor. Think of the Destruction as something like a plow or a wildfire that clears the land and destroys everything in its path. Doing so actually creates the perfect conditions from which new life can emerge. And I think that emergence, that growth, could be seen as the Trailblaze. In my view, the Trailblaze isn't necessarily the seeds that get planted in this soil, but perhaps the wind that carries the seeds to this soil to be planted. They're the journey the seeds take to get to that particular location. I don't know if that's the correct way to interpret this, but that's just how I see it. And with that, our Amphorius journey has finally come to an end. Well, almost. I do have a few things to add here before we wrap things up. So midway through this quest, we finally got to hear what Kafka told us back on the Hsr space station before the Trailblazer's memories were wiped. It was an excerpt from Elio's script that said that the Trailblazer would travel to Amphorius where they would help a pure child of remembrance learn the meaning of love. Then they would face the destruction for the very first time. And at the end of this journey, the Trailblazer would be forced to make a choice that would decide the fate of both Amphorius and the universe at large. But that choice would also split destiny in two. Now, I thought this was just a cryptic but poetic warning, but then I remembered something. Shortly after Hsr asked us why we trailblaze, you know, that question that would become Noose's new variable that I would then use to calculate the future of the whole universe with? Yeah, that one. Just after that, there's this scene where we see another Trailblazer answering this exact same question. Which made me wonder, are we actually catching a glimpse of some other timeline? One where we made a different choice? And does that mean that there are actually two Trailblazers walking two parallel paths of destiny? I'm not entirely sure, but it seems fairly likely. Now, there's definitely a lot left to unpack at the end of this quest with regards to why Sparkle snuck onto the Astral Express again, and also the current conflicts with the IPC and the unnerving silence of the Harmony, but I think we're gonna save that for another time since they seem to be things that we're gonna deal with in the next destination. So I don't really feel like they apply to Amphorius specifically, you know what I mean? But wow, it has been a long road, and yet I know there is still more to Amphorius' story. As long as there's a blank page left at the end of the book, the story can't end. Besides, that big pink nebula that you see in the Eternal page, that's the location where Amphorius is gonna be born from the memory zone at some point in the future, so story's definitely not over. But this video is, well, almost. Before we go, I just want to thank you all for sticking with me this past year. It's been a really long road, and I hope you found these videos helpful. And you know, now that we're setting off on a new adventure, I kind of think I should take some time to kind of go back and compile every episode into one final epic. Do you think I should call it As I've Written? Or is that a little too cheeky? Maybe I'll sleep on it. Well, thank you guys once again for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
As I've Written. So, I want to replay something. Round 2.
Has finally cast their gaze upon Amphorius, her eternal page or a garden, perhaps because every bit of data now qualifies as a seed. You know, kind of like the Trailblaze, the two of them can replant those seeds of memory and give the cosmos back a future free of Iron Tomb. So they use the power of the Trailblaze to break through both space and time in order to confront Iron Tomb one last time. And this time, they succeed. Cyrene is able to gain the upper hand and rewrite the meaning of Iron Tomb's birth. It is no longer set to the track of hatred, but to the track of love. And because she and Iron Tomb are both two halves of the scepter, when Iron Tomb exploded, Cyrene did too. And this allowed her to spread all of love. And because she and Iron Tomb are both two halves of the scepter, when Iron Tomb exploded, Cyrene did too, and rewrite the meaning of Iron Tomb's birth. They succeed. Cyrene is able to gain the upper hand and rewrite the meaning of Iron Tomb's birth.
I think I'm taking that too literally. I think she, I mean, you can't. I think she just beat love, or beat hatred with love. I mean, you can't rewrite his, can you rewrite his birth? We're not going back that far. And if the answer is destruction, Like that's his thing to find. So if Herta's saying that yes, that's the correct answer, you're not rewriting that. Like you're just defeating it. I think I'm taking what she's saying too literally here.
Is no longer set to the track of hatred, but to the track of love. And because she and Iron Tomb are both two halves of the
just
scepter,
defeating.
When Iron Tomb exploded, Cyrene did too. And this allowed
just like he defeated Cyrene. Cast his stuff out. Cyrene took it over.
Her to spread all of the memories that she had collected within her eternal page
now she's spreading love all over.
Cosmos,
Instead of spreading
all life
hatred
to
and taking everything
remanifest to
away.
the moment before the destruction started dissolving them. And as the people returned, they were met by a single greeting, a final message from Cyrene, and it read, "Hello, world." In her final moments,
and then they're respawned. They were fragmented away. Although she did kind of rewrite, yeah, because we are locked into a single point in time. So they were kind of on pause, but then rewritten.
Cyrene managed to use the last of her power to condense all the memories of Amphorius into a book, casting her glance backwards through the time.
Which is what she did. She took them all into that book, the final page of the book, went back out, spread the love back.
And captured within its pages, and filling in all of the gaps with stories of her own. She created the place where the story began, Ida Silesii, and she placed a child with and Philea 093 was raised alongside the fairies she loved so much, and she eventually became the Chrysos heir of time, who received prophecies from her future self. The Cyrene at the that was rotated 180 degrees to spell just seed of memory. Her love of fairies gives this turns into a grown woman, one who misses the story herself, and that at the end of time cast her gaze upon them as Fuli, the lace flower that bears fruit at the end, in the first place, created an opportunity for the path of the Trailblaze to eventually replace the path of destruction. More on that in a bit. These are just some of the blanks within to Phynon as a sort of prophecy, intending for it to be a sort of blank space that the Trailblazer would come to occupy later. And that created an opportunity for the path of the Trailblaze to eventually replace the path of destruction. More on that in a bit. These are just some of the blank spaces she fills in. But when she finishes, she condenses the memories of express within the mission amongst very important that Amphorius' book because, like Cyrene says, works in you can find her. See the explorers of BY's Amphorius distribute the copies of Here was also interesting things to say. Apparently, when Iron Tomb fell, the scepter was also ruined, but she and Screwlum managed to recover the majority of its extrapolation data before it was completely lost. She theorizes that this data could be used to assist with the rebirth of Amphorius, especially the last extrapolation record, since that's the cycle where the path of the Trailblaze replaced the path of destruction, which since that's the cycle where the path
the Trailblaze will replace the destruction,
of the Trailblaze replaced the path of destruction. Which is interesting because after analyzing all of the data, Herta and Screwlum agree that the Scepter's answer to the question, what is the prime mover of life, is correct. The prime mover of life is destruction, but there is meaning in replacing destruction with Trailblaze, which, as you may recall, is exactly what happened to Iron Tomb. Cyrene overwrote destruction's path of hatred with Trailblaze's path of
overwrote his path to hatred, infusing a world-bearing love into destruction.
Love. No, you can read Cyrene's.
I need to read this right now. To the flawed one. Let's see. Let's see exactly what she says. Because I can understand overwriting. I can understand overwriting, but saying rewriting, I don't like saying rewriting. And maybe I'm just being too fucking literal right now, but whatever. But like, the rewriting sounds like you're going back and restarting. When really you're still moving forward. You're just overwriting. Wait, what? Okay, so these are the two. Conclusion 1. All life activities are attributed to entropy increase. The prime mover of life is destruction. Conclusion 2. Conclusion 1 constitutes only a particular proposition. If the initial proposition is changed to trailblaze, it is equally valid. The prime mover of life is a static value and cannot determine the developmental path of things. This motherfucker. Euphorious experiment collapses and concluded only on the condition that the demiurge successfully gazes back. If the backward gaze fails, affected by the established causality deficit, the experiment will recollapse into unconcluded. Right, so that's her whole part of saying, you know, it can't... She's always got to look back. She can never look forward. Trailblaze can overwrite destruction. So... Fuck, did I delete that other one? Oh, did I delete the other one? Damn it, I might have. Of course, the one I want, dude. Oh wow, this is my old one. This is my old one. Damn it, I deleted the one with the names on it. Bro. She's married to Amphorius. No, I don't know what the whole marriage thing is. I honestly don't. I don't get the whole point of the ring. I think it's just like she's I mean, I think it could literally be translated as she's married to Amphorius in this timeline. Like, I don't know. Damn it, dude. I hate that I deleted this one. With the four paths of finality, because if maybe with the four paths, let's go back. The four paths up to this point, or well, I mean, it could just be forever, right? It could just be you have nihility, harmony, destruction, and remembrance. I spelled that wrong. Whatever. And maybe these are the four paths then. And remembrance actually does play a role still. But destruction is the one that gets crossed out and put into Trailblaze. Trailblaze, I feel like, is one of the four. But maybe, since this line, going back and looking again, conclusion 1 constitutes only one particular proposition. If the initial proposition is changed to Trailblaze, it is equally valid. So remembrance actually might still be one of the four paths. Even though it kind of still doesn't make sense, because how can it be a path of finality if it always just results in being a loop? Because it fully ends up looping back the universe at the end anyways. Like, that's just another loop. And that's like, if remembrance is always a loop, how can you reach anything final if it's a loop? It doesn't make sense. So I still question remembrance being the fourth path. But it's like, I feel like we definitely don't have the exact answer of what the four paths could be. Or I feel like they left themselves open enough for interpretation to where they could alter things or drop something down the line that's like, oh my god, no way. Like, this is kind of saying right now that destruction at any time could just be overwritten by Trailblaze and give the same result. So it's like, we could just overwrite with Trailblaze at any time the destruction and get the same result. So if these are the four, if destruction equals Trailblaze, I mean, I don't know. That's interesting. That's interesting. Because I believe Trailblaze is one of the four paths. That's my point. Oh, boy. I just don't know if it overwrites remembrance or destruction. Or if remembrance even is. But anyways, this is what we wanted. This is what we have to reinterpret. Hello, Iron Tomb. In a sense, you are me, so before falling asleep, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you to talk about the question you've been contemplating, the prime mover of life. Logic. All life activities are attributed to entropy increase. Conclusion. The prime mover of life is destruction. And that's the whole thing, because basically, in order for a new life to be born, in order for a seed to be born, the old life has to be dead or whatever the hell. So, I mean, that's a destruction, right? Perhaps it cannot be refuted. On the vast Tratos plains, the daily hunting of antelopes by the lion pride is enough to prove your point. Life is finite, and animals must plunder to survive. When people realize their ideals, they inevitably sacrifice the ideals of others. Even self-defense or even love sometimes becomes a source of harm. But is life merely for the sake of destruction? I think that is certainly not the case. Plundering, expansion, and conflict occur because they are born with flaws and yearn to fill themselves with beautiful external things. Just as seeds crave rain and dew, all life activities are attributed to entropy increase, but at the same time, all life is also fighting against entropy increase. Thus, one day, the life walking the path of destruction will stop. It will hesitate, be confused, be lost. Then it will set off again, offering its broken heart in the world of entropy increase, out of hatred, out of pity, out of any kindness, out of any kind of flawed emotion, stubbornly resisting fate towards an uncertain tomorrow. This is the Flame Chase journey, a journey voluntarily chosen by a group of flawed people who, having learned what loss is, choose to lose. In the eternal cycle, everything they relinquish is filled with better material, and the name of this material is memory and love. Love is not the cause, but the result. Destruction is the same. They both originate from a common starting point, flaw. Because they are born with flaws, life pursues perfection, and by accepting its own defects, life surpasses destruction and the self becomes ego. This story about the flawed one is my bedtime gift to you. Farewell, Iron Tomb. Together with the slumber of love and destruction, let us send the greetings of birth to the starlit sky and the prime mover of life. I believe every star in the cosmos will find its own answer. I definitely said something about this the first time I read it. Loading core variable Trailblaze. So this is... Oh, so this is kind of like a timeline. Because, yeah, then we load the core variable, and then we fight. As we fight, we win. Output Hello World. Or maybe this is after we fight. Because they both get destroyed. I forgot what my original take on this was, but I know I had one when I read this. And my mind is in another place right now to give a take on this. I'm going to be honest. Or to interpret this the right, or what I feel is the right way, I should say. So what did she say again?
Interpretation of this relationship in the Exomyth in a letter that she wrote to the Flawed One, aka Iron Tomb. I'm not gonna try and explain it here because I don't actually think I understand her logic the way the writers intended, so I think it's best you read and interpret it for yourself. In my personal view, I like viewing this relationship between the Destruction and the Trailblaze through a garden metaphor. Think of the Destruction as something like a plow or a wildfire that clears the land and destroys everything in its path. Doing so actually creates the perfect conditions from which new life can emerge. And I think that emergence, that growth, could be seen as the trailblaze. In my view, the trailblaze isn't necessarily the seeds that get planted in this soil, but perhaps the wind that carries the seeds to this soil to be planted. They're the journey the seeds take to get to that particular location. I don't know if that's the correct way to interpret this, but that's through a garden metaphor. Think of the Destruction as something like a plow or a wildfire that clears the land and destroys everything in its path. Doing so actually creates the perfect conditions from which new life can emerge. And I think that emergence, that growth, could be seen as the trailblaze. In my view, the trailblaze isn't necessarily the seeds that get planted in this soil, but perhaps the wind that carries the seeds to this soil to
I don't know, that seems... like it's saying to where it's like our natural instinct is self-defense, is to, you know, is selfishness. We're looking out for ourselves. But is that really the true point of life? Is just our survival instinct? No, it's just something we kind of default to. So while it's something we might like default to in certain times, dude, it's super abstract. They leave a lot open for interpretation, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, love is not the cause, but the result. Destruction is the same. They both originate from the common starting point, flaw. Because they are born with flaws, life pursues perfection. But it's like, you could say destruction is more of our instinct, but it's not what we actually do to move life forward. That's just our survival instinct. Yeah, I think this is what I had said before. But we didn't get far just surviving. When us as humans had to like live just to survive, our life expectancy was so goddamn short, you know? But once we actually started to do things that allowed us to do more than just focus on survival and just, I guess, destroy just to survive, we were always killing. We're always taking places over. War is non-stop. But once we're able to actually settle down and not just survive, but enjoy the things around us, life expectancy grew. And we're able to live more of our life rather than just surviving. So that's why it's like, while destruction is the prime mover of life, survival will allow us to live. It's not what the answer, it is the answer, but not the answer at the same time, because while yes, you will continue living through that and you will live on for generations as we have as humans, it's not the best outcome. But is life merely for the sake of destruction? I think that is certainly not the case. Plundering, expansion, and conflict, aka war, occur because they are born flaws and yearn to fill themselves with beautiful external things, just as seeds crave rain and dew. Trailblaze allows us to move forward and use our survival instincts while also taking in the other things of life. So love is translating to Trailblaze, I think. It's very abstract. It's a great way to put it. And I'm just... That's why loading core variable Trailblaze. Destruction is only survival. Trailblaze is survival and more. I think it's saying that Trailblaze incorporates everything that destruction does, but also allows us to live a little bit. Also allows us to have more emotions. To enjoy the things around us. To enjoy the small things around us. Having learned what loss is, choose to lose. Play smarter. All life activities are attributed to entropy increase, but at the same time, all life is also fighting against entropy increase. Life pursues perfection. Okay, yeah, it's this. And by accepting its own defects, life surpasses destruction, and the self becomes ego. Destruction doesn't allow you to see the other side of things. You're only focused on survival. And when you're only focused on survival, you can't use your brain to think. But when you're able to think and observe other things around you, you're able to self-reflect. And if you're able to self-reflect, you're able to see the flaw within yourself. And when you're able to see the flaw within yourself, you can overcome your emotions. When you can overcome your emotions, you're able to reason with other people. When you're able to reason with other people while overcoming your emotions, you're able to love. You're able to express these emotions to other people. You're able to communicate with other people on a genuine level. Not just kill them because they look stronger. No, dude. Trailblaze is the ability to use survival and brains and brawn. While destruction is just brawn. That seems pretty fucking simplified to me. And that's how I interpret it. I believe that's how I interpret this. Which makes sense that Trailblaze could replace destruction and be equal. Because we're holding the same value of brawn plus the brain. So we're equal plus one. We're greater than. So now, I revisit what she said again. That I have reinterpreted. Oh my god, I'm pressing every button but the button I need.
Relationship between the destruction and the trailblaze through a garden metaphor. I don't actually think I understand of this, which, as you may recall, is a Krulum agree that the Scepter's answer to the question, what is the prime mover of life, is correct. The prime mover of life is destruction, but there is meaning in replacing destruction with Trailblaze, which, as you may recall, is exactly what happened to Iron Tomb. Cyrene overwrote destruction's path of hatred with Trailblaze's path of love. Now, you can read Cyrene's interpretation of this relationship in the Exomyth in a letter that she wrote to the Flawed One, aka Iron Tomb. I'm not gonna try and explain it here because
and that's it makes even more sense with to the Flawed One. It's almost trying to be like, hey buddy, you're flawed, just like all of us. And that's okay, brother. It's okay to be flawed, man. It's okay to be flawed. We're all flawed. Accept it. Move on. Bro's so drowned in his own guilt of being flawed that he wanted to destroy the universe because of it. That's not the answer. But he thought it was the answer because he didn't have the brains to reflect on himself.
I don't actually think I understand her logic the way the writers intended, so I think it's best you read and interpret it for yourself. In my personal view, I like viewing this relationship between the destruction and the trailblaze through
when memory drifts away with a breeze, love leaves behind a seed. Oh,
a garden metaphor. Think of the destruction as something like a plow or a wildfire that clears the land and destroys everything in its path. Doing so actually creates the perfect conditions from which new life can emerge. And I think that emergence, that growth, could be seen as the trailblaze. In my view, the trailblaze isn't necessarily the seeds that get planted in this soil, but perhaps the wind that carries the seeds to this soil to be planted.
But the wind that carries the seeds to the soil. Okay, now I can kind of understand what she's saying, but I would take it one step further. And I would say it's an unintentional wildfire. While Trailblaze may be an intentional wildfire in order to prevent out of hand fires, because don't they do that in forests? Don't they do intentional burnings to prevent like forest fires? So while a forest fire or arson maybe could be considered destruction, you could even just say natural, just like a natural forest fire that ends up destroying an entire forest could be destruction. But the firefighters who go in and do an intentional burning in order to prevent a wild forest fire with the intention of maybe growing some new plants or something like that. I guess they would have to have that intention too. Maybe that's not the best. Maybe. No, I would still say the firefighters would go in with more of an intentional purpose, or if you go in with an intentional purpose to a little bit of brains behind it to start this fire to prevent crazier just fires of destruction, is more Trailblaze. Yes, you're doing destruction, but you're doing destruction for a purpose, for a reason to prevent further destruction, because you're reflecting how that destruction, what happens when that happens, but you're using the destruction in its own way in order to prevent out of control and unrestrainable destruction. You're restraining the destruction to prevent out of control destruction.
Planted. They're the journey the seeds take to get to that particular location. I don't know if that's the correct way to interpret this, but
It gets kind of mixed up when she's talking about the seeds getting planted, but I don't even think you have to take it that far. I don't even think you have to take it to the seeds. I think you just stick with the whole fire thing. Screw the seeds. Because all right, you want to throw in your seeds. If a wildfire happens, and then you're like, oh yeah, I guess the bright side is, we'll get some new crops in here with some new seeds, that the wind will bring in. Okay, cool. But if you were to set an intentional fire, a restrained fire that locks in a certain grid, that you're like, yes, we want this plot of land set on fire because we're going to kill these crops off because we want to plant new crops that are going to generate new money. That's more Trailblaze. You're using the destruction as a tool. You're reflecting how we could be destructive to grow and prosper to better things. Yes, that's a good way. We're using destruction to grow and prosper for better outcomes. I like it.
that's just how I see it. And with that, our Amphorius journey has finally come to an end. Well,
oh my god. So this video isn't going to be this long, but I just want to put this at the end and just say that every time I watch an Ashkai video, I spend hours looking at this thing. It is, I believe I've spent 2 hours watching a 32-minute video. Total. This is what I've spent watching this video that I'll edit down. But thank you. Again, I don't know why. She just generates the thoughts in the brain. You know, and really I only got caught up in this middle part. That's what's crazy about it. And I still have questions. Like, I wish she would have gone in more depth about what she thought about the fourth instant. Although she simply said that this moment in time is the fourth instant, which I've been saying. Which I think all of you people saying that the instant is a long period of time are just simply wrong. But she didn't really go into it. I wish she would have, because I could have used a little bit of backup there. And there was another part too that I kind of had a question about, but I probably already said it. Yeah, more so the fourth path. I think there's some stuff to discuss about the fourth path, that's for sure, and what that has to do with finality. But hey, I guess we'll wait for the next video. So thank you on that one. Until next time. Uh, yeah, no pom-pom mention, huh? Small correction. Iron Tomb also needed to be a headless giant, otherwise it might not attempt self-coordination with Noose. Lagus's paranoia over uncontrollable creations played into this decision, but there was a practical concern involved too.
This easy to control puppet and the demiurge's capacity to develop consciousness and thought and reason was problematic. It'd be like if Clippy decided to take.
I mean, sure, dude. Yeah, that other part too. The whole self-coordination thing, that the merge with Noose, I got confused about. Radish, my brain hurts. I needed this for some answers. And I got a couple. I still have some questions, but I just wanted to see her take on a lot of things. But I'm just more like, shit, how did I get caught up in the self-coordination with Noose? I guess I'm just surprised I didn't realize that, like, he met Noose. Like, how did I, like, miss that part? Like, I didn't realize that he was, like, interacting with Noose. What are the questions? Oh, man. There's so many right now. There's so many right now. Honestly, no. There's a lot's been answered, to be honest. I see a lot of people talk about the fourth instant is the big one. Well, at least that's one I've hyper focused on, is the fourth instant. You know, in being a single point in time, or if it's an extension, like over a period of time, when it's, I mean, I take it as that single point in time where we're at right now. Or our choice, not where we're at right now, but our choice we made. But a lot of people get caught up on the point that it's supposed to be like the whole Eon War, but it's, while those could be the repercussions of the fourth instant, the fourth instant is still a single moment in time. Yeah, what was the other one I just said? Oh, the four paths of finality. and if remembrance is actually the fourth path. And while if it can still actually be the fourth path, because I think Trailblaze could be one of the four paths. But is Trailblaze is going to overwrite destruction? And how can remembrance really be a path of finality if it just ends up being a loop all the time? Yeah, it's the four paths of finality that are brought to us by Kafka via Elio's script. Destruction destroys a memory. We then try to preserve the memory. Then that memory fragments become a harmony, making a new memory. Soon becoming a remembrance, becoming the loop. Yeah, but how is... See, that's what I mean. How is anything final if it's always a loop? You see what I mean? I guess that's my point. It's like this is if remembrance is supposed to lead to a path of finality, but remembrance ends up being if fully is assumed to kind of loop the universe back, similar to what Cyrene just did at the end of time. How is that final? That's my point. It's weird, right? That's my point, is it's like, I feel like they leave it open to interpretation because this isn't actually what it is. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's what's said right now, but even Noose, I'm pretty sure, that's right. But if we're representing the Trailblaze, do we actually make it? Are there, who knows? Maybe it could just mean that there's 5 paths to finality. Who knows, right? But either way, I think that our current understanding of the paths of finality are bound to change. I guess is the best way to put it. Shit, where was it? Oh, man. And whether that means that if destruction... Let me do this first, because I don't know where that other part is, but I know this part. Here, ready? I'll show you. Ready? If the initial proposition is changed to Trailblaze, it is equally valid. Saying that prime mover of life is destruction, could Trailblaze... Yeah, I mean, who knows? You're right. But when we're just talking about these 4 paths of finality and everything, you know, it's the current conversation. So when people are just so like, oh yeah, 4th path of remembrance, I'm just like, I mean, that could be true, but it's like, are the 4 paths of finality that we're talking about right now actually them? Because this is saying, you know, Trailblaze, if the propositions change to Trailblaze, it's equally valid. So Trailblaze can just overwrite destruction. I mean, we just watched it happen with what we did to Iron Tomb. So maybe Trailblaze ends up totally overriding destruction for finality and being one of the 4 paths of finality. Maybe certain paths end up merging. Maybe remembrance isn't actually a 4th path. I don't know. That's my point. I think it's just more so that stuff's open for interpretation. Why couldn't we loop itself? Why couldn't the loop itself be the finality of it all? Well, see, I think that's what we're currently in. We're currently in a loop, right? But us as Trailblaze, this is my prediction for, which I said before, is what's going to happen towards, like, you know, a couple patches down the line, whatever, once we get towards the quote-unquote end of the game, right? The end of the universe, the real end of the universe. We're going to use the power of Trailblaze to break through the current universal loop that we're in. We're going to push further past the boundary of what Fully is currently looping. Because Fully's looping the universe, we can assume, based on what we see from Cyrene, or the power of Cyrene. But once we get to that point where the universe ends and the real Fully spawns, Big Boy Fully becomes a thing, we break through that via the power of Trailblaze to continue the universe on, actually. Oh yeah, at the beginning when Kafka was talking to us like we knew her. Like the beginning of the game, or that flashback that we got? Good luck, brother. Wait, finance pullable? Oh, is he pullable tomorrow? You'll get him, I'm sure. Cyrene is mini Fully. Cyrene is a version of Fully limited to Amphorius. The beginning time difference? Like when she was explaining the 4 paths, though? Yeah. Yeah, well, Evernight's a thing in itself, because Evernight represents Enigmata, which is supposedly a offspring of Fully. But how does that work? Like, is Enigmata, if children of an Asrava are offspring of Fully, I mean, using children and offspring, together, or synonymously, is that the right word? Do you think Enigmata could be an ascended child of an Asrava to Eonhood? Where does it say that it's, yeah, I know. But somewhere it said that Enigmata is a offspring of Fully. I don't know where it is, though. Which... Enigmata. Oh, maybe it's under just, maybe it's March's future. Where the fuck did it say offspring, dude? Bro, imagine that. That's actually March's future. Because everyone talks about how she represents it so much. I don't remember. I'm trying to find where it said that offspring of, yeah, but we know March's destiny as a child of Anasrava is to basically do what Cyrene did somewhere. She and March could end up being the big boy Fooly. Or she ends up doing it somewhere else. She ends up doing a cycle somewhere else, using that type of power somewhere else eventually, right? I cannot find this. Mythos the Enigmata was said to be born from Fooly. Wait, is it on the wiki? Oh, did I just type it in wrong? Born. Oh. According to Herta, the path Enigmata was born from the remembrance. So if children of Anasrava, this is my point, children of Anasrava are also born from remembrance. I guess they're not born from remembrance, but are they? They exist before they're gazed at, kind of though, right? I don't know. Maybe, I'm just saying, it'd be kind of crazy to see Evernight. If we go through the whole ending doesn't, retrocausality, I should say. Maybe it's like we're early on in Evernight's timeline and Enigmata doesn't exist until the end, similar to how Fooly does. And this is March's line to be Enigmata if they're both kind of spawns of Fooly. I don't know. That's kind of out there. But we don't know anything about March's past. Yeah, right. We don't know. That's the thing, is we don't know shit. We don't know shit about her. We don't know a damn thing from before she was in ice. Maybe she was always in ice. Maybe that's her origin story. Maybe she was born from the ice. Maybe she doesn't have a life before that. After meeting Menimer Cyrene, we see her starting to form the ice around her. And then Evernight took control. Yeah. So here's the thing, though. We know that Mythos was around. It could be what she used to be, dude. I mean, there's definitely... They definitely gave her all of the jellyfish look to represent that. To represent Mythos. True. Just maybe. Yeah, fair. True. You are right. But the fact that she's also a child of an Asrava. Everything revolves around remembrance. There's some possibilities there. Enigmata uses wax to make March as a vessel for Evernight. But maybe Fully gave March her own memories. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. I think it would be cool as shit, though, to see, like, a, hey, like, a... Whether it was... Somehow Evernight in March is... I don't want to say... I mean, it would be cool to say, like, is Mythos. That'd be crazy, right? I mean, I think that's possible. I think it could be possible, really. And that'd be great. It's not impossible. It's very unknown. But there is a possibility. I don't know. Maybe both. Because we know it was in the past. I don't know the most recent memory. Enigmata forces turn some memory bubbles into dream bubbles. It suggested they were they were responsible for the memorial leak. Oh, so they... Okay. This is, yeah, Penacony. I guess that wouldn't line up then. If Evernight was... Didn't March say that she interacted with Evernight in Penacony? When did... No. She said that she talked to her before. Right? She said that she talked to her, like, briefly. Or, like suppressed her briefly, or something happened. Fuck, where would I even go to find that? Probably where March and Evernight were talking, right? That would be... What patch was that? That 3.5 or 3.6? It's 3.6?
I have observed.
Where they were... Oh yeah, I would say it was 3.5. This seems like years ago. Oh my god. We just got Hsr 2 patches ago, bro. Oh my god, this seems like forever ago. This actually seems like forever ago. Isn't it crazy how, like, we knew nothing about March and Evernight up until... And then they play such a huge role? No, it's not this. It's where they're outside. Wait, was it earlier than this? Where is the part where they're talking where she lets Evernight out? Like where they have the big talk to let Evernight out. I think that is 3.6, isn't it? Yeah, this. Okay.
He dropped by uninvited. Was surprised. I saw you ages ago, after all. It was on that night when a certain Knight of Beauty dropped by uninvited to the Astral Express. That was when you showed up, without even saying anything.
So when did, what the fuck's his name? Argenti. $1.5. Wait.
Is that me? What's she saying? I know your past. The things you want to see, to touch, to know. Your home, family, friends, emotions, what you love and what you despise. I'm the complete March 7th, with all of your forgotten memories. Who are you? Why do you look exactly like me? Why did you stop talking? Oh, what kind of creepy...
Oh, this was forever ago.
March, can you hear me? Huh? My phone. Himeko, there's something really weird happening.
I know. March, get out of there right now.
But this was all swarm disaster, wasn't it?
March, please reply. Have you left the room?
Did something happen to March?
Okay. But point being, is the last time we see mention of at some point in the past, Mythos caused numerous breaches on the border between real space and the memory zone. Enigmatic forces turned some memory bubbles into dream bubbles. It is suggested that they were responsible for the memorial leak in the Astana system. So the fact that they showed up not too long before we went to Penacony, and before there was an outbreak in Penacony and problems? Coincidence? I mean, look at this gap. Brother. Look at this gap. Last time we hear about it is First Mechanical Emperor's War. Look, you heard it here first. Evernight isn't only a spawn of Mythos. She is Mythos! Perhaps I can only hope to uncover more information about Mythos by digging into Remembrance, the birthplace of Enigmata. Alternatively, I can try Finality. Yeah. Oh, man. Ever watched Don't Join Team Red? No. What is that? Don't join Team Red. What the fuck? What is that? Why does it look like? Are you trying to give me nightmares, bro? What the hell is that? Don't forget to take breaks and approach the story when you're ready. We'll all be waiting patiently. Dude, is it like intense or what? Is this the first one? It's 2 minutes long? Am I gonna get possessed? Am I gonna get possessed if I watch this?
This is Redmond Man, your employer, and I've got a job for you. Send my brother to hell. Yes.
Do I get to take all of that? I'll send anyone to hell for that much money. Where do I sign? No, that's okay. I'll win in the short run. That's what matters. What is this? Jesus Christ, don't do it. Oh my God. I'm not gonna watch them all right now. I can see where it's going, though. It's interesting. You can make that for any, like, team shooter, right? That's a cool twist on stuff. You totally make it twisted. I like that. You could make that a movie. You could make that an actual movie. You could actually make that a movie. Oh my god, wait, it gets long. Oh. Wait, so these are the first ones that are that short, and then they get long, long. Oh, damn. That's 21 minutes? Jesus, this dude took it to another level, huh? Pretty dank. All right. What time is it? Oh my god, it's already 11. Let's. I might play a little. Jesus, I did not plan on spending 3 hours on that goddamn video, man. I'll check it out. It's actually a great, like, it's a great concept. I mean, I can understand the whole concept he's going for through that first episode. So I wonder how he evolves it. You know what I mean? Interesting. I will have to watch that. I will check that out. Thank you for the recommendation, sir. Thank you, good sir, for your recommendation. You know what? You know what? Good point. You know what? We're not going to play Where Winds Meet today. Good point. I should do, since I'm already this deep into honkai today, let's just do some of the endgame content. What's the next one that's up? Memory of Chaos. That's what I should do. Since that's the next one that's up. I'm always a last minute dude. I'm always like, oh, I do it the weekend of. I'm not doing anomaly. Fuck that game mode. You want anomaly? Dude, the last anomaly I did, I got absolutely destroyed. You know what? I don't think I can 3-star all of these. My Sirene isn't ready yet. And this doesn't make... Yeah, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this right now. We're doing Memory Chaos. I'm not doing Anomaly. I will do Anomaly, but I'm not doing that right now. This I have to think less about. I can just run some shit. You know? Oh my god, I don't even have that character. Wait, who the hell are these guys? Oh my, just straight march? Yeah, give me the gist of the other ones. Of like how he evolves that story.
We need a strategy. Deja.
Finally, you're strengthened up.
Emerge from your cocoon. May death protect us. We can do it.
Have some sunshine. Dispel the gloom. Restore the skies.
You have their mercs.
Meanie.
Wilt here.
Super big meanie. Riding the west wind. Away we go.
We can do anything. As you wish. Embrace a new life.
So may the way. Riding the west wind. Away we go.
May death protect us.
Change this title since I'm not gonna play wherewindsmeet.
The first move advantage must not be wasted.
A day of peaceful...
Show your courage.
Light up the dawn.
Soldier and Scout GG themselves.
Your downfall is absolute.
Soon the respawning cloning machine would then malfunction due to them dying too much, overloading the machine.
To guard and defend. Crush them.
A future will come.
Troublesome.
Okay.
Serenity is before me. I will watch over you and guide you on your path.
Ah, they mutate. Okay. Okay. Do they go full zombie mode or what?
Lend me your strength.
For tomorrow. A future will come. Fury of innumerable core flames consume me. Hail the new dawn. So without substance, you sun tear the sky.
They only watch the surviving mercs for the first time and then they attack at night. They hate the day. The mutated ones would watch the surviving mercs for the first time? So do they always come out mutated? Or do they just come out, like, sometimes mutated?
Be careful.
Okay.
Something unsettling ahead.
Finally, strength enough.
Emerge from your cocoon.
You know, I wish I could actually get a rope and a spear for my Serene so I can actually use her, but, you know, here we are.
Dispel the gloom. Restore the skies. Mimi.
As you wish.
They cut off the power to the replica of the cloning machine.
Here. Riding the west wind. Away we go.
We can do anything.
Go, go, go. As we've written, we know.
Wilt hear. Embrace a new life. May death protect us.
So make them wait.
Oh, they cut off the base's power. Oh, the whole power. Okay, okay.
Wish.
Mimi.
Wilt
The
hear.
machine has its own power source. Is that what you meant?
Riding the west wind. Away we go. Have some sunshine.
Embrace a new life.
Go, go, go. Dispel the gloom. Restore the skies.
May death protect us. I'm still here.
Min, min.
That sounds like a solid storyline.
Mimi. So make them wait.
Tremble before my power.
Can we kill this bitch? Come on, bro.
As you wish. The world that they promised.
It is. No revealed gender or race. They are all males. What?
That looks like a tough one.
He looks like a bitch. Shut up, Finon.
Defensive.
A day of peaceful
Show your courage.
light up the dawn.
They fight off the mutants, but they are smart.
Is of no consequence.
Your downfall is absolute.
I will watch over you and guide you on your path.
Yo, can we lock in, please?
To guard and defend. Crush them.
Press the attack.
For tomorrow,
Oh, this isn't good.
humanity is before me. A future will come.
Oh, we're good.
Fury of innumerable core flames consume me. Hail the new dawn. New sun, tear the sky.
The show is over.
Empty shell.
Transmute. Eidos News.
Remember when we thought Lygus was even an enemy? Like, well, he is an enemy, but even like a threat?
Protocol
Like, this guy is just...
in foot.
This guy seems like a little peasant now compared to what we actually had to fight.
True mountain commands. The Trojan horse enters.
Sun, tear the sky.
So they have their normal ones, or their... Oh. So they have their normal people. And then some of them are mutants.
Duration factor.
Quench the flames of blood. Is that all?
Note down. Remove vulnerabilities.
For agony.
Return to a Byron.
All stars burn to ash.
Did I just die?
Fury of innumerable core flames consume me. Hail the new dawn.
Wrong solution. It's all futile.
That was crazy. But the remaining mercs are the only ones that are normal. Right. But if they die, well. So probably without giving too much away, I'm assuming that if they die, they would also turn into mutants because they become a part of the cloning machine that's broken. And they turn into mutants because the machine's pushing out mutants, right? So can the mutants still be only one at a time or what? Which team do I want to use? Jeez, people using Don Hung over there? What the fuck is this? Oh, adventuring. Using Heisen here is crazy. I could use my Herta. Ugh, there's so much fucking. 1,000 could come out at once, mostly 20 at a time. But the single guys can only do one at a time? Like the guys who are still living, there's still only one of them? And they have to fight all those mutants? Oh. Thing is, I still have mine set up to where I have to use Jade for a speed buff. Oh, Jesus Christ. I could just use Herta Jade. I could just OG it. Oh, no. Is my Anaxa built still, or is he messed up? Yeah. Should I just do this with fucking Lingsha and just call it a day? Or is that not gonna really do good? See, because my Herta has attack boots on, that's a problem. I don't have good speed ones. You survive and try not to die. Might have started to act strange. Oh boy. So how long has this series been going on? It's just this year? Okay, crit rate, hello? Okay, wait, hold. Let's go! Okay. So we can get rid of Jade. And we could just use... Fuck it, let's use, yeah, let's do that. Let's try that. That might work. I think that sounds solid.
That looks like a tough one.
A direct defense.
Let me test the watch.
Oh, if I can survive against this guy.
Light up the dawn.
I need to fix my Bronya still. Oh, shit.
Your downfall is absolute.
Don't die. Just don't die. Just stay alive.
And guide you on your path.
Just stay alive.
Suppress.
Come on.
Press the attack. Lend
It was
me your
fine I'm gonna die. What the hell's going on here?
to guard and defend. Crush them.
For tomorrow.
Okay, we're good.
Fury of innumerable core flames consume me.
Oh, not really though, because we didn't use Sunday's ult, did we?
You sun, tear the sky.
Damage.
Shit.
So without substance. Hail the new dawn.
Mission failed.
Let the game begin.
Empty shell. So without substance.
Prepare for some hard luck.
You sun, tear the sky. Empty shell. All
Oh, really?
stars burn to ash.
Yo, can we chill?
Your downfall is absolute.
Serenity is before me.
Future will come. For tomorrow.
Did I just Q?
Down from above.
Future will come.
Hey, just ult, brother.
Innumerable core flames consume.
Hopefully Saridra stays alive, and this doesn't actually count as turns for her and she dies, because that would suck, right?
So without substance. Your sun, tear the sky.
Jesus Christ.
We need a strategy.
Watch this magic.
Incense ascends.
Take a look. This is pure genius in action.
Let's try it this other way.
Better use Cyrene team. I learned the hard way. Does it show you what I used for this? I feel like I did a fake news team. Yeah, you had a Cyrene team up, but I don't have a sphere or rope for my Cyrene yet, so she's shit.
Open sesame.
Medic was a mutant the whole time? Okay, leak, brother. Hey, don't leak!
Nothing but a void.
Don't leak!
Expand your thinking. Watch it crumble.
Yo, can we live, please?
We can do anything!
So tiring.
As we've written. Everything in this world is bleeding. Time to cleanse the filth.
Open sesame. Endless riddles. Nothing but a void.
To the soul.
It's like a Nazi zombie storyline, dude.
Expand your thinking. Glimpse the unknown.
Insanity. With this divine power, I reforge all things.
Everything in this world is bleeding.
Endless riddles. Nothing but a void. Open sesame. Watch it crumble.
Really? Why did that not hit for harder?
Yeah.
To the soul. Insanity.
Why do I feel like my Anax is super weak?
Everything in this world is bleeding.
We can do anything!
Oh yeah, that's a good point, right? If they're all
Expand.
playing, so the blue team does get involved?
Endless riddles. Nothing but a void.
Like, are they still in the world of where they have to fight, obviously?
As we've written.
Get written into the book, nerd. Alright. And this one's just default, right? Yeah. Interesting seeing people... Lots of Don Hungus on that team now. Is that a good team? Honestly, I haven't looked into, like, I have the Don Hung, but I haven't looked into him that much. So he's better than Bronya now. He's ranked over Bronya now? I don't even know what I have on him, I'm gonna be honest. What's good stats for him? Oh my god. GG. The game is their real life. That's how I feel playing fucking honkai sometimes, let me tell you. Yeah, I mean, I'm out. I don't have any of these. I mean, look, they're all used. Like, do you see these rolls? Like, look at what like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm stuck with my Lushaka sets, bro. What does he want? Attack and speed, right? I mean, shit, I could just... I don't have a rope, though. I could just run an attack rope? No, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. What? Episode 5, new clones. I mean, episode 5 is like the first long one, right? Oh. This is just... Oh, things are so bad with my relics. Things are just so bad. Oh, you know what? Did I ever get... Oh, I think I had some of these I wanted to level up. I need speed. Because I don't have her perfect yet. I want HP, though, too, man. Whatever. I'm just doing this to get rid of some stuff. Let's see. Of course. Fucking trash ass game. Trash game. It's a trash game. It's a trash game. Bad rolls. Bad luck. This doesn't even have... Oh, yes, it does. Team is now not the main focus, and the gray team with robot mercs were in the story with the... I'll watch it and record it, and if... I mean, I could watch it, like... on stream one time, and if I like it enough and I feel like it's a good enough reaction, then I post it as a video. Yeah, it's just not in the plan to do tonight. Did that roll good or no? Oh, it rolled more speed. Whatever, dude. I don't give a shit. Just give me this. Give me this. Give me this. Yeah, I'll try it. I mean, what you're saying, the story sounds nice, dude. Like, I honestly sounds like a decently thought up story. You know what I mean? I'm not like a Team Fortress guy, but you know, I'm down for a good story. Just give me speed, maybe just maybe one roll of it, maybe just one, just maybe one. Just maybe one, maybe one. Of course, it gives me only one. Okay. Weird cult-like beings that kill off the perfect mercs and let them... How can this game be this bad? I don't even care. I think his, oh my god, I'm fried. I'm better off just using my Branya. I can't even get to 134? Like, look at these speed rolls, bro. Hell yeah, brother. Whatever, man. Let's see. I'll try it. I don't know. I haven't really used Don Hung, so... Oh yeah, did I finish its traces actually? No, I did.
Do you want to enter the Forgotten Hall?
Mask guy you saw on the cover episode 8 is also a mutant. Now here are the demon bird mercs we know. Right now? Sir shoots a lot. Oh wait, no, hold on. I did all of this just to switch this up. Oh, you put Cyrene on here? No. I want this team. Except I want... Then Don Hung. Yeah. Are these the cult mercs?
Be careful. There's something unsettling ahead.
Plain it.
There's strength in numbers.
Oh.
Why don't we force
Emerge from your cocoon.
I don't know if I wanted Tribby though. We should be fine to auto.
Protect us.
I don't know about second team.
So make it wait. Dispel the gloom. Restore
Oh, those are demons. There's cult-like beings that kill off the perfect mercs and let the mutated mercs through a portal. Then we meet the weirder mutants. And then there's demon bird mercs.
Good night.
Cult mercs are all medics with masks. Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, okay, they got super dank.
Have some fun.
till we meet again.
Embrace a new life.
See, when people want to ask, oh hey, how do you not know that you can use Castrus's dragon as defense? You want to know why? This is why. When the fuck do I have to use her dragon as defense?
Your time to shine. Rise and shine.
I don't need her dragon as defense. I always blow her dragon up.
Embrace a new life.
Fuck are we talking about? Use her dragon as defense. I feel like the only people who use her dragon as defense are people who weren't level or max level going into this. Like people who joined like in 3.0. Like joined the game. And they had low level castresses that they needed to use castress defensively.
Treat our guests nicely till we meet again. Nightfall.
Otherwise, why the hell would I ever use her for that?
Good night.
Sir shoots a lot, sings a melody that is the Merc's kill switch.
Embrace a new life.
Jesus.
May death protect us.
Have some sunshine.
That hurts a bit.
Riding the west wind.
They do not kill the young or the demons don't kill the young or surrendered enemies.
Have some fun.
They aren't very demon-like then, yeah?
Root here. Embrace a new life.
What is this damage? What is happening?
May death protect us.
Dispel the gloom. Restore the skies.
This world is a form.
Your time to shine. Rise and shine.
Is my march broken? If the mercs fail at a task, they are executed and replaced.
The west wind. Away we go.
As you wish. Embrace a new life. May death protect us.
The demon mercs.
Return to the great dream.
Night falls.
So all these other guys are still out to kill the originals, though?
Suffering is eternal.
Again. Again. Till we meet again.
Show me the way. Dispel the gloom. Restore the skies.
Wilt here. Embrace a new life. May death protect us.
Oh, the normal mercs have that melody.
That looks like a tough one.
Direct offensive.
Let me test the waters first.
A will of metal and
Light up the dawn.
Step onto the board.
earth shatters, heaven trembles. Mountains roar, dragons rise. Soaring above the lands. This is permanence!
8,500 damage.
I will watch over you and guide you on your path.
I'm fine.
Suppress. Press the attack. Your downfall is absolute.
Serenity is before me.
For tomorrow.
Component damage.
You've got nerve.
Fury of innumerable core flames consume me.
Found an owl, mixed up with sniper, and the owl trained it with aimbot. Wait, aimbot? Really? Like aimbot is an aimbot? So he's just gonna cheat.
Hail the new dawn.
Component damage. Mission failed.
So he's just gonna cheat. I hate this mob. This mob is so goddamn ugly, bro. It's the ugliest mob ever created in the history of mobs. Ugh. God, I hate the way he looks. Okay, can we get some attacking going on here, or what's going on? Did I just waste a skill because I hit the wrong, or well, they autoed the wrong button? That's lovely.
All stars burn to ash.
He will walk you down in the fire at your head at a split second.
For tomorrow, the future will come.
I mean, we're finally dealing damage to this thing. Jesus Christ. Don Hong almost does more damage with his normal attack on his ult. Jesus Christ, dude. What's the best TV I've ever watched?
Innumerable core flames consume me. Hail the new dawn.
Like the model of television or like TV show?
So with its substance.
I'm a Samsung enjoyer, you know what I mean? I'm assuming you mean TV show. Bro, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not one to, and this might sound corny, but I'm not one to like say favorite TV, because there's so many like high rated good TV shows out there that it's really hard to just pick a favorite. I'm not a big favorites enjoyer, you know what I mean?
Sun, tear the sky. Empty shell. All stars burn to ash.
Because honestly, there's a lot of good recent television that's pretty damn good. Like, we got a lot of shows on Paramount Plus now that are damn good.
Soaring above the lands. This is permanence.
Serenity is before me. The future will come.
And that's what I mean. Breaking Bad's like a default, right? But you got Breaking Bad, but then you got Better Call Saul, which is a very, very close. I would say it's a follow-up, but you could argue that it's just as good. But then you got stuff like Game of Thrones, minus the ending. I don't know what that show is. And that's the thing, you got all types of shows. Then you got shows out there like Vampire Diaries, which is a banger show. But it's a different genre, it's a different style of show. But then you got your like newer westerns that come out and are great. Or what's that one show? Like all those newer shows on Paramount Plus, like I was saying, like Landman, dude. That show is crazy. Pluribus, yeah, that's the new one, right? Pluribus is the new, yeah. What's his name show? Vince Gilligan show. Nah, Gina, we're gonna have to watch that one for sure. Yeah, the villain. The old villain. You gotta have a good villain, bro. Can't have bad villains. Yeah, I could tell. I mean, I could just see that from the trailers that it had a lot of gore. I could tell that. But we like gore. You know? I could deal with some gore. Alright, we got that done. Oh, this is the next one that is due. I'm not doing that right now, though. That's for damn sure. I'm a gun violence enjoyer. What's that one game I saw? I saw a Lyric playing a game earlier today. What was it called? Aina? It's like a horror... Shit. Aina? A.I.N.A? I know? No, that's Genshin. Oh, fuck. Isla? Isla. This game looked cool. I'm gonna tell you about a scary scout clone. He is a masked demon with green skin and yellow eyes and carries an axe. Like this guy? Look at this guy. This guy's scary. He just doesn't have green eyes, though. Or yellow eyes. You like my tree? It's fake. It's real in my heart, though. This game looked cool, but this game had a lot of gore. It was kind of, oh man, you gotta like cut your finger off and shit. But actually, this looked like a really good horror game. I was watching Lyric play it earlier. It should look pretty damn good. I might have to play this. Yeah, I think it has like Outlast feels to it. But it's almost like you're stuck in an Animus type of thing, like Assassin's Creed style. It's like you're a video game dev for a AI VR set. It's like the premise. Should look really good. Should look nice. I'm gonna have to try that one out. I haven't played a bunch of random games lately. Watch trailer episode 7. I'll watch trailer episode 7 and then I'm going to log off. But yes, we can watch trailer episode 7. Quick. What was it called again? Don't join Team Red. Episode 7 for Jesus Christ. Trailer. It's weird going in without seeing the other ones, though. Yellow eyes? That's so creepy, dude. A goat head? That's... Okay, so this is all like this year. It's like fucking Peter Griffin with horns, bro. Like, what is that? They look like Peter Griffin with horns. Yeah, like that's creepy right there. That one's creepy. 37 minutes for part 8? Oh my god. Yeah, 6 months ago. Meet Hermadu and Yabri, the 2 masked medics. These ones? Those are them? Jesus. Yeah, the blown out eyes is kind of crazy. I love how he still throws this just random one in here too. How do I join Team Red? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how to join it. That's what I want to know. Bro, I'm not trying to get haunted before I get off of here. I'm possessed. I'm possessed. I'm possessed. I'm possessed. You are trying to possess me, sir. This is some cult possessive or not possessive possession. I have the demon in me. I can feel the devil in me. All right, dude. I'll check it out at some point for sure. Maybe this weekend. Maybe this weekend we'll watch through the first couple. And if I fuck with it, it seems like a good story. Like I said, based off of what you've said so far. So maybe this weekend we'll look at it. We'll get through like I'll go all the way up to like. No matter what, I'll give it a shot all the way up to episode 5 at least. If I'm not feeling it after episode 5, then I stop. But it will definitely get through like all the way up to episode 5. Like I won't stop before 5. That way I give it a fair shot. Because episode 5 seems like when it took off. You know what I mean? Like 21 minutes. So we'll give it up to that. Oh. But alright. I am off. Thanks for chilling out, bro. And make sure, hit the little like button, man. Appreciate you. I'm off.